How we do? We bumping and ripping?
Yep.
Look who's back.
I'm back, bitches.
Drink up, Shriners. How's it going? Look out, it's only me. Am I yelling?
Yes.
I can't tell anything
You're
anymore.
excited.
I still have my loner ear rockets in, and I hate them. Anyway, and that's a whole nother schnoofuka that I don't even want to talk about because they've just delayed things. Anyway, whatever. How you doing? Happy Monday. It's Monday, and Pete Davis is back from his sabbatical with the so-called COVID virus, which I'm beginning to think is a bunch of bullshit anyway.
Barbados is
Throwing
nice
the
this
flag
time
on
of year.
that, yeah. Looked like he went to the beach. He was in Cancun, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, Flounder, of course, a mechanical mangler at the controls here at El Condo Flounder for the Kimmer Show podcast. And before we get going, we're going to talk a lot about the Queen and stuff, and especially because I think Pete is basically somehow is a member of the royal family.
I had nothing to do for a week.
Well, anyway. So we're going to talk about the Queen, and we'll talk about stuff, and President Child Molester and all this stuff, and he was on 60 Minutes, and never did that. We got all the news, we got all the stuff, Trump and the rally and all that kind of stuff. However, first of all, how are you? Did you, in fact, you did have the China kill virus?
I did.
And, but it didn't seem, of course, we didn't talk much because don't like to talk to people. But it seemed like you were okay or what? I mean, what was the worst of it, best of it, or what was it like for a week?
I would say it was a weak flu, basically what it was. There's like 3 days there with the body aches and the headache and congestion that kind of messed with me. But never as bad as a flu if I had in the past.
And no stomach upset, throwing up,
A
or
little
any of that
queasiness, but no throwing
Queasy,
up.
yeah.
A little queasiness, and of course they gave me pills for that, and I found out I couldn't take those pills. You got it.
Why can't you take those?
Because they interact with your other medicine you take badly. In fact, they gave me antivirals. Here's the thing: you have 5 days, and if you get body aches and fever, go get checked because it's probably COVID.
Yeah.
At that point, and you got. I'm gonna have a cough for like a month afterwards.
Yeah.
That's just gonna happen. But if you get it within the first 5 days, they can give you pills for it. And the pills kind of make you queasy or something. But you got to be careful because the first virals they gave me wasn't going to work with my heart pills.
Really?
And I had to ask. And so she looked it up and says, no, but we have a second tier that you can do. That's almost as good as the first tier. So I did that. And by the way, the Kroger Pharmacy, I went in there and I said to the girl behind the counter, I said, what's the best way to go on WebMD to find out what interacts with what pills?
Yeah.
She goes, I have an idea. Why don't we ask the pharmacist? Because he knows a lot about
That's
drugs.
what they know. That's the,
And she
they're
was laughing,
doctors,
but I was
basically.
laughing. And he stopped what he was doing, the Kroger there in Roswell Road, and came over and took 10 minutes to go through everything.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Cool.
Great
Cool.
service. But I had the cough at first. I had a little throat thing on Wednesday week. And by Friday, it turned into chills and, a fever and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I should have gone on in and got tested. So if you get chills, a fever, body aches, it's 99% going to be that. Because she said it's not really flu season that big time yet. It's probably going to be the COVID, and it was.
Yeah.
So, but it was like a weak flu. And the worst was the body aches and the headaches, frankly, and the little cough that's left over.
Yeah. Well, and Flounder, how are you? And I know you're blaming Flounder for this, I'm guessing?
No,
or?
he took. I've had 3 people say I gave it to you.
Well, see, the only thing is I had similar.
Bragging.
I had similar symptoms with you, but I didn't have a cough, and the only thing I had a little body ache, and I had a slight headache, but it wasn't like I had a headache for maybe an hour and a half, and I took one of those tests that I took here. Excuse me. And I tested negative, but I still followed all the kind of the steps that if I was to have COVID. So I just
I still have a little bit of a hacking cough, but I don't have any symptoms that I think I had. Although who knows?
You don't know. She says it basically with the airport, we're getting every variant in the world now.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just a matter of time, and it handles everybody differently.
Yeah.
Like you two could have just a little bit this time.
I think I had I had a couple
Right.
minor symptoms.
You should have gone and got tested because you can mess with your organs if you leave it go too long.
Yeah.
But now that you seem to be over it, it's no big deal.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's going to get everybody at some point, and just like I said, go get.
Yeah.
It takes a second now to go get checked,
Yeah.
and then give you the pills, and it's no shots. It's none of that bull crap. It's pretty good.
this business.
China, thank you, China.
Yeah. Again, let's no sense in getting to the bottom of it. I mean, don't you think that it would change everything if it was proven that if we finally get a Congress that we can trust, and they investigate and find out officially it was a weaponizing move by the Red Chinese. They did it on purpose, or they knew it was bad, and they do, all the things that we know to be true, that it was, a weaponizing of a virus to see what would happen, and a bad thing happened. I mean, I don't know that they deliberately tried to poison the world, but they clearly were making a weapon out of, I think they were testing
we were
virus
too.
weapons.
We paid for it. Fauci
we
paid
knew
for
all
it.
about it. We knew all about it. And again, this is not a secret.
No.
But again, until Congress comes out with a blue ribbon report, China caused the virus by trying to make a weapon out of germs. Ta-da! I mean, say it.
There was a big European study out a couple weeks ago that said, let's quit blaming it on bats.
Yeah.
We know where it came from.
Not a wet market, I mean, I'll eat a lot of things, but
I ain't head off a bat, Ozzy.
Anyway, we'll talk about all this. Also, President Child Molester was saying, the COVID's over. COVID's done. It's over. He says 60 minutes. COVID's over. He said, notice nobody's wearing any masks. Well, it's over. There's still some, stuff, but it's over. The COVID's over. And then he tried to defend the inflation. Well, it didn't go up all at once, I mean, oh my God. Anyway, we'll probably talk more about that. A billion things, and I got like a personal stuff. Let's talk about the Queen as we speak this Monday. And again, I don't know why you. Are like a British subject. I don't think I've known anybody.
I'm a citizen. I'm not a subject.
Well, okay, but I don't know anybody. And my entire life, I've never met another American, another friend of mine, American, somebody I know well, who was so enamored of the British culture and royalty and history. And
you do know someone else, Tom Hughes.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But and by the way, you two have a couple of things in common. Among them, you are both extremely literary. You are both writers and studiers of history and things like. I mean, he's a book writer. You're a book writer, and you both have that same kind of love of language and history and things like that most of us don't. I mean, I do now. I never did as a kid. I do as an adult now. I'm having more interest in things like history and stuff like that than I ever did before. But you, for example. So, in honor of Pete Davis getting over the China kill virus, we will be talking first about the Queen. Now, a couple things. I'm as you know, I'm an early riser, so I got up early. I was up at 5, whatever, and turned on Fox News, and there's the freaking, it was my first sounds. I guess maybe 5:45 when I finally started functioning, whatever. And the first sounds I hear are the incredible echoing sounds of a boys' choir in the church. And I'll tell you what, it just I couldn't stop watching. Now, I was listening to our 106.3 radio guys for the morning show because we're linked with them. And so I'm listening to what's going on in the morning time, but I couldn't take my eyes off the service and off first of all, someone told me what this is called. I luckily have a system in my hearing and brain cavity that certain kinds of music almost make me weep. That certain musical sounds, harmony, certain notes, reverb of beautiful sounds that hit the right note and so forth, the kind of thing that would shatter a glass with a perfect high C kind of deal, give me the chills. It's almost like arriving at your destination. I mean, I really do. It used to be church music when we would go, Easter Sunday music. It would just overwhelm me. And I don't know whether it's the religion. I mean, who knows what the thing is, but there's something in my system when I hear certain notes and sounds and harmony and music, especially choral music, group music, not just an individual, like boys' choirs. And I was in a glee club. I was in the choir. I sang in the choir in church. What? No, don't even start on
Teach
me.
him how to handshake while you're there.
Don't even
Firm grip.
start on me.
It's firm grip.
But and it gives me the chill. I mean, I really literally goes right into my
That organ is amazing.
And there's I mean, it's called something. There's an actual symptom.
Fugue or
I don't know what it's called, but somebody told me once what it was. It gives you the shivers when you hear great music. I mean, great sounds that go right into your whole internal being, and it reminded me. I mean, the first sounds this morning, and I started, the shivering of thinking, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And it was those young boys in the church with the reverberating, echoing. I'm sorry, I'm not. I mean, it was beautiful. What are you doing now? Oh, it's something bad?
No.
I got to sign that.
Okay. Are we still okay? We're doing everything? Okay. Anyway, but when I was in prep school, we used to have our daily activity class, and then we'd have everybody had to be in an athletic team playing or managing or something. And then after athletic act,
You realize he's turned the Queen's funeral around to him already.
well, I mean, yeah, but again, this was my experience this morning, and I'm trying to relate. It was way more powerful than I had any possibility that I would think it would be to me.
Right? It was.
I mean, and one of the reasons was the memories, of when I was in prep school. Every Monday night we had a chapel service every day after athletics. We'd have sports, go to the chapel service, and then have dinner. And we would walk from the prep school up to the chapel, which was in the little town of Lenox, Massachusetts. And on Monday nights, instead of having a chapel service where the headmaster would give a lecture and so forth, we would sing. And it was a shout out what hymn you want to sing at the prep school. So there's like 300 boys and headmaster, and the masters and everything. And on Monday nights, the townspeople would come to the church just to hear us sing. And the reason was it was an old, small stone church, and the music would just bounce off the walls and into the towers. And I mean, the whole town would come up just to listen to the young men singing church hymns. And it was that kind of feeling I got when the whole thing started off. Then I'm looking at them, I can't stop watching. And I mean, there were so many. And again, I'm kind of amazed. I mean, I was really, really touched by it. I'm looking at the uniforms and all the different marching units and the pomp and circumstance, the plumes, the costumes, the get-ups, the ritual, and I looked at all of it. I mean, I couldn't take my eyes off. And notice their boots were perfect, and the stepping and the swords, and there were guys who had their left arm behind their back when they marched, so they could hold the flag in the right. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, if you looked at the specifics of the parade I mean, it was really unbelievable.
Did you see at the end there in St. George's at Windsor where the bagpiper played as he at the end of everything, and the casket's been lowered down and everything? There's one lone piper, and he's in a hallway, and he walks past, and then they show him from behind as he walks away, and then he turns left as the music fades while everybody's still inside there. That was very poignant, but did you know? I mean, you would have noticed how he walked. It was absolutely amazing. He walked. I don't know. If
Was
you
it the
can see
half
that.
steps?
He would stop like this, and his foot would pause. I don't know how he did it, playing and carrying that thing.
Yeah.
His foot, because I can't do it standing.
Well, not only that, it almost affects the way you're playing a note because you're like balance. I mean,
He would hesitate, and then he'd touch the ground.
Yeah.
And then he'd do it again, and then he'd touch. And it was
Yeah.
like
It's
that
a whole
far off the
parade thing.
ground.
Yeah, it's
It
the
was
stepping
poignant as hell.
Yeah. And the guy, the beefeater hats and the costumes,
Bearskin
and
hats.
oh my God!
Did you see the thing? The ones that when they went the long walk, they call it.
Yeah.
God, that's beautiful.
But the landscaping
it's beautiful.
and on the sides there was a guy holding a little black horse and a guy holding dog.
Well, there was one had
God.
brought out the last pony she rode.
Yeah,
and it
right.
was the guy brought out two of her corgis.
I saw the corgi. It makes you weep.
The beef eaters by the side as they walked up there.
Yeah.
Did you hear the part? They never toast the queen.
No, I
Her
didn't
equerries.
hear that.
Their allegiance is so beyond the pale.
To the
it is
empire.
unquestionable.
Yeah.
Their allegiance to her, they never make them raise a toast to her. Because their allegiance to her is so without question.
They don't need to toast her, kind of
They
deal.
do not need to toast her.
Well, and I couldn't help thinking. I mean, I'm watching the whole ceremony, and I can't help thinking, okay, what do you suppose that they do? I mean, other than being in the parade with those funny
they're in the army.
uniforms.
They brought him from
but
Iraq.
they're military guys.
They flew him over from not Afghanistan, but Iraq. Some of them were stationed in Iraq and brought him over to train.
I don't know what their MOS, their military occupational specialties in MOS, your job title. I don't know whether they're. I mean, I can't imagine they're all in the infantry or artillery.
I
But
think most of them were.
They may well. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this special. I mean, it was really amazing, and it went on and on and on. It was like for 6 hours, 7. It's probably still going on.
Well, the private thing with the family is probably going on right now. It's probably ending right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I couldn't get over the beautiful scenery, the landscaping, the gardens, the grass, the long march, the long walk, and it was really.
And as well behaved. One thing the British can do, they can line up. That sucker's standing in a queue for 12 hours to march
or more.
through there.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And although I heard Bortz's commentary this morning on 106.3 where he said one guy rushed the casket. He was a Muslim. And, of course, the media didn't
Really?
mention. Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, his first name was Mohammed.
And he grabbed the drape and they dropped him pretty quick.
His name is Mohammed, was his first
What a
name.
shot.
Which, by the way, is the most popular first name in London right now.
Yeah.
The first, it's not Bobby or Clarence, it's Mohammed.
I was surprised when they showed the crowds how Caucasian the crowd still looked. I was shocked
Well, I mean, it's Britain. I mean,
because that's always been a very multicultural city, but still that was
Well,
and the people weeping and just
Oh, it was. I mean, it was really. I couldn't take my eyes off it and preparing for the podcast and everything and doing all this stuff, but I couldn't stop watching. And did you see this where some poor bastard in the military was standing at attention as the long walk was going on, and all the horses. I couldn't stop watching all the horses, and they had the beautiful white horse, the beautiful black one. It was just stupendous, just beautiful, and the little tiny steps they took. I mean, for a thoroughbred horse to be able to be trained and behave that well for that much time at that kind of an event with all those people. Horses don't like.
No.
I mean, this is not common. These are special breeds, I promise you.
Because those people dressed to the hilt. That was hot.
Yeah.
Uniform.
I can't
and that
believe-
one guy face planted.
Yeah, well, I kept waiting for people to fall out of line because that's what they told us in the Marines when we were at parade, at attention, and of course this was Paris Island in the summertime, and it would have been very clear if you lock your knees. If you're at attention and you're locking your knees, you're going to pass out. You have to make sure you have some kind of lack of tension, at least occasionally, when you're standing for that period of time.
Talk about smart. That most of them had rods or something they could hold on to.
Yeah.
And in Scotland, that was the long bowmen. They were holding their bows while they stayed up for 6 hours. You stand somewhere for 6 hours in full dress?
Yeah, you'll fall over.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
I remember
try
doing
it.
that in marching band, how hot that would be when we were like in September games or something like that. I can't believe they for 6 hours.
We did it once at Paris Island at attention for punishment, just on general principle. With in South Carolina in the swamp in the summertime, bugs, mosquitoes, and if you flinch, oh man. Anyway, but I was mentioning at one point, one poor bastard was standing in line, and one of the horses kind of just kicked to the right and knocked him about 4 feet backwards, and he's trying to go, crap, get me back in line at attention and stuff. And it was pretty funny. But it was just the whole thing was just remarkable, absolutely remarkable.
For not doing something, they did something similar with the Queen Mother and a little bit for Diana and a little bit for Prince Philip last year, but not on this scale for 70 years.
I know.
Churchill in 65, they did a pretty good one on that one, but still.
Yeah, but this I've never seen anything like this in my life. And Frank, I was listening to some of the syndicated guys on the radio coming in. And some other folks too, and a lot of people are saying, it's fine for them, but I really don't give a crap. I'm sick of this. We don't care about the Queen. We got to worry about inflation. I'm going, wait, and I don't feel that way at all. I was touched by it. I was moved by it. I'm glad I saw it. You'll never see it again, anything like that again in your life.
I got a friend from Iowa. He's been to the Bahamas, but other than that, really hadn't been out of the country that much. Never thought of going to England, doesn't care about England. Basically not redneck, but country.
Yeah.
Lives out in the country about 2 hours east of here. And he called me up yesterday just to shoot the shit. And I said something about I'm sitting here watching the Queen stuff and everything. And he goes, you know what? I'm kind of sad to see the old girl gone. And it was out of the blue.
Yeah.
And that's somebody who doesn't give a damn about England or the Queen or anything. It's just to make fun of her like Monty Python our whole lives.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to see the old
It's
gal
the Queen. Yeah,
because it was a constant in our life.
Yeah. Well, again, I was very, very touched, and still am. I thinking about it. In fact, President Child Molester was there, and apparently, as a result, he's now going to be referring to Vice President Carmela as her royal side piece, which I think is, just as a tribute.
Hey, speaking of which, Camilla looked rough.
Yeah.
Camilla looks old.
Yeah, she is. Well,
She's older than him.
yeah. Again,
Kind of looks like an old Jill Biden.
She does. She looks like she looked
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
I thought like
Yeah.
she's the next.
Yeah.
And he's gonna fall apart with her
have,
gone.
I have no respect for either one of them. I mean, she's a snake. As far as I'm concerned, she never, ever had any intention of being faithful to her own husband and not being the side piece of Prince Charles for his entire life. They were, I guess, they lost their virginity together. They grew up together, having sex.
He lost it to her, but she didn't lose it.
Well,
to
she
him.
was, yeah. But again, she was his side piece. I mean, whenever they wanted to have, and she was cheating on her husband, and everybody knew it, and he was cheating on Diana, and everybody knew it. And
Well, her
and
husband was cheating on her, too.
I mean,
You know who
that
her
the
husband
whole-
was cheating
The
to
whole
on?
thing just makes me sick.
You know who her husband was cheating with?
I don't know.
Princess Anne.
Oh God,
It was
Princess Anne.
If you watch The Crown, you got to watch it at some point. When they bring Princess Anne to come in with Philip and the Queen Mother and the Queen to talk about what are we going to do with Charles and this Camilla woman, and Anne's telling them this, and they go. And at one point, the Queen goes, "How do you know all this?" And she gets real quiet and everything. And they all kind of look at each other, and she just admits it. She goes, "Because I'm having an affair with what's his face." And the look on the Queen's face was like, "Holy shit!"
Oh man,
it's just a great scene.
Well, I have no respect for Camilla Bowser or King Charlie III whatsoever. I mean, I hope they don't destroy the country. I don't think the royalty is going to have anything to do with unless he just starts opening his mouth and getting in the way of the British Parliament. But I don't think that's going to happen.
How about the PR campaign that even Fox News is part of? The Meghan Markle PR campaign from day one,
Yeah,
making it about her. And by the way, I'm not contagious. I'm way past
No,
it.
it's okay. Contage
and
away.
The Meghan Markle thing, making it about her from day one. Oh, they jerked the flowers out her hand. They wouldn't let her do this. This is the Harry and Meghan revenge tour. Oh, the poor thing. And even today, Fox News says that the Archbishop of Canterbury took a shot at her at the funeral. It's like, oh, gee, he doesn't give a flying if she's
Yeah.
there or not.
Yeah.
It just kills me. It was all about her.
Yeah. Well, they had to Americanize. I guess they had to
digging bitch.
Americanize it in somehow to link.
No, I think it's her campaign thing. It's her PR campaign spinning it that she's the victim.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I mean, and of course the media is going along with it, saying, "Oh, the
hell
poor
yeah.
dear," And again, you didn't get. There's been a little inkling, mostly from British people, about whether Harry should just forget this whole thing about the book for which they paid him $20 million to write the book condemning the royal family.
He's a grifter. That's what he does.
And I mean, and again, and I'm going to talk about his uniform thing here in a second too. And I'm just, the whole that part of it really makes me creepy. And every time I saw him in his morning coat or suit without the
Today he
military
was in
thing,
the suit.
and then I want to talk about his uniform in a second and all that kind of stuff. And again, it's his own freaking fault with that when he married that girl. And in fact, I know you're going to talk about some little-known Queenie controversies later on. We got so much more coming up here. Also, let's see. Oh, one of the units I noticed walking by was the Royal Navy sailors, and they were behind the coffin on the wagon, and they were holding on to not reins, but a rope or a link or chain or something.
They were pulling it.
Yeah, they were pulling it, but there were guys behind who were also holding on. Yeah. But did you notice their hands were interlocked with each other's hands?
Did you see when they're carrying the coffin? They had
They're-
their arms around each other, and I'm sitting there thinking, what is that thing, lead line?
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
It's lead line.
Lead line, yeah. And they had their necks right up,
They
right
had
up
to.
on it.
And they're like straining.
Yeah.
How heavy is that damn?
Holy
we now know that,
criminy.
Downstairs too.
we now know that Superman can't look at her undies because it's lead line.
Yeah, but they had their fingers interlocked with each other's hands
Yeah,
for like 8 hours marching,
Amazing.
bobbing back and forth. And of course they had to. I mean, I was looking at the fact when they had to slow down and they were doing half steps and they all seemed to know how to do it. I mean, it was unbelievable. Taking little and they would bob back and forth. It was a special bobbing and marching and bobbing and weaving. I mean, it was really it almost made you seasick. Here they come for the Royal Navy. Oh my God! But it was. I mean, it was. I every part of it. Every segment I saw was really fun to watch. I mean, it was moving and touching, and I looked at the costumes, and I looked at them marching, and I looked at the
Well,
gear
you
and the
watched fun.
swords.
Did you
and-
watch the BBC? For once, did it straight down the middle, no lecturing from the
Yeah,
left and stuff
I
like
watched
that.
Fox.
In fact, one of them, they showed all the people coming in, Biden and some of the others, and they said we've got a lot of great world leaders, and then it said and sometimes good ones, and they showed some of the guys from the Middle East and Africa and Asia, and sometimes good ones.
including President Pedophile as he
I
walks
think he
in.
is looking at that boys' choir.
Oh my God!
Over here, Joe. Of course, you know what they were talking about? The fact that he's once again told China we're going to go to war with them.
Well, we'll talk about that again.
Jeez.
What an idiot! Again, I mean, can you imagine if that had been Trump? If that had been a Republican?
know.
I mean, just
He's done it 4 times
oh
now.
my God!
And the British were talking about, going, what is he doing?
Wait a minute. He says we're going to go to a fighting war, and at least it was Scott Pelley. I forgot who the liberal. Yeah,
Pelley.
and he was saying, well, let me get this straight. In other words, unlike Ukraine, you are going to. I mean, even God bless him. He even said, "No, wait a minute, just so I don't misunderstand. Are you saying that you will go to war if China? Oh, if there's yeah, absolutely, yes, yeah, will." And then the White House saying, no.
4 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah, KGP is going to have to be cleaning all that up later this afternoon.
I can't wait. Regine Beijing, the puppet princess. Did you notice that she is gay and black and female, by the way? That's how she got her job, is by checking off 3 boxes. All right, hold everything. We got way more to talk about this. Plus, the Braves are going to the White House after all.
Yeah, a year later.
Well, that's we'll talk about that too. Yeah. Yeah, right before the election, not too bad. A few weeks before the election. Also, we got a billion things here, including Atlanta's new murder rate and all kinds of good stuff, and some weird questions, including the Queen's going to be buried with her late husband. And it started me thinking about coming up. I'll ask you about, and I got to thinking, I had assumed when I was young that when I was married, when I would stay married forever, and when I died, my wife and I would have burial plots or whatever. Well, clearly, as an 0 for 2 loser, there ain't no girl in America wants me buried next to her, so I'm going to be cremated. I spread her wherever my kids want to get rid of me, I guess, or throw me in the
I figure
garbage.
you
or
wouldn't
whatever.
want to go to Arlington.
I don't deserve to be in Arlington. I mean, I can demand to be buried there, but I don't know. Well, we'll talk.
I mean, you served.
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
you served.
I know. But again,
If they don't let you in, we'll take your ashes and dump you right on JFK's eternal flame.
I want to be buried at the Atlanta Radio Hall of Fame. I want you to spread my ashes right in front of their freaking door. Make me a pledge. If I die before you guys do, I swear to God, you're going to put at least some of my ashes at the doorway to the...
And I promise you, I will keep track of how many Hall of Fames we have, because there'll be probably 17 by that point. And we'll pick the latest one.
Oh, man. Yeah, they don't have the original one anymore. Anyway, we got so much more about this stuff here, too, today. Excuse me again. I do have a cough thing, but that's all. And I don't know whether that's. I mean, part of it's allergies. And again, this time of year, my sinuses are brutal. So whatever. Okay, hold everything. Again, we are very, very grateful if you go to thekimmershow.net. And when you go to that, you'll look for YouTube, click on the subscribe ding for YouTube, and then that'll help us gain notches for listeners. It's free. You don't have to do anything after that.
We're at 844. We want to get to 1,000.
Got to get
so
to
we're
1,000.
right there. We're
Yep.
right there.
And again, just go to when you go to thekimmershow.net. Hit the YouTube thing, hit subscribe, and then you're done forever. And again, if you want to send us a check, and I owe Denise another check, another thank you card. They said he gets some new thank you notes because I ran out. But again, there's an address if you want to send us some money. You can go to patreon.com/KimmerShow for donation. PayPal is all. I mean, whatever, anything you can do to help us. Believe me, we are very, very grateful. And if you want to be a sponsor, much like our friends at Dead Crow Defense. Dead Crow Defense. This is not a gun store. It's your ammo and gun dealer, your personal arms dealer. DeadCrowDefense.com. Now, they helped Flounder when he was looking for ammo. And again, a lot of ammo is really expensive or hard to find. And Dead Crow Defense will take care of your needs at the great price and the fact that they have it in stock. And they can get it for real unusual stuff. They can get it for you. In fact, everything that's in stock right now, when you order it, it ships out the next day. They do not fool around. It's the old-fashioned personal service, great quality products. And by the way, it's not just ammo and firearms and so forth. Go to deadcrowdefense.com. And you can see what else they offer you. For example, a personal safety device stuff and uniform type thing, but all kinds of stuff. Check it out yourself, deadcrowdefense.com. Your personal arms dealer, and tell them what you want, and they'll get it for you. Now, when you go to online, if you're going to sales at deadcrowdefense.com, for example, make sure you use the promo code KIMMER, KIMMER, at checkout for 10% off your first several orders at deadcrowdefense.com, where Pete Davis is wearing one of their beautiful dark red with a white lettering Dead Crow Defense t-shirts as we speak. Dead Crow Defense, your arms dealer, sales at deadcrowdefense.com. And here's their phone number, area 678-576-9117, or sales at deadcrowdefense.com, and tell them the Kimmer sent you, and by golly, they're definitely going to take care of business. Good folks. And okay,
I was just surfing the net and I looked at I went to Daily Caller and there is a headline: Media melts down over Virginia's schools barring males from girls' restrooms.
Over males and girls' restrooms. Well, yeah, that's what you get. Congratulations, you perverts. I mean, how can parents? I mean, if you have a 14-year-old daughter, and all of a sudden she comes home and says, by the way, there are boys in our... wouldn't you march right down to that school and grab the principal by the freaking throat? Grab him by the collar on his starched shirt and say, hey, bozo, when you make him into Bobo doll. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, how could they... Yeah, little freaking punching bag. Oh, my God. All right, anyway. Let's see. Anything more on the Queen?
Yeah, a few more things.
And also, let me do one more quick thing about, we mentioned Prince Harry. And again, he just, when I see him, he makes me angry.
No, he served now. He was a helicopter pilot.
He was a warrior. I mean, and again, he wanted to. He could have stayed out of everything, but he wanted to go to war. So, I mean, I salute him for that. But you know, okay, and also, as a married man, I would expect him to support his wife. I would expect him to be there for her no matter what. And if she says, you know, they call me an N-word and they don't want our baby showing up at the palace, you know, obviously he's got to defend his wife and be part of the, you know. However, there's got to be a better way than all this. And especially with a book coming out, he got a $20 million advance. Is that what I hear for the book, which is going to trash the monarchy, the royal family? What good is going to come of that other than he's rich? He was already rich.
The Tower of London was built for people like him and her, to tell you the truth. I'm surprised they let her in the country.
I mean, is she just anything more than a troublemaker?
Yeah. She's a race baiter. That's basically probably how she's got every job she's ever had. Entitled, bitch, a grifter,
spoiled
a gold digger,
Hollywood starlet.
Yeah, starlet. Never been
who
told
got
no in her
herself
life.
a prince. The spoiled Hollywood starlet got herself a prince, and now she's going to ruin everything in connection with the royal family
She's not the
and
center.
America.
She's not the center of attention.
I mean, what a nightmare. I mean, honestly.
At the funeral, did you see her trying to get closer and closer to William because the attention was on Kate and William?
No, I didn't. In fact, every time I saw people, I tried to point or just pick out who was where and so forth. But I don't know. It's hard to keep track of them, I guess. All right, hold everything here.
I thought they had a mistake. She dies up at Balmoral, which was so fitting that she passed away at her favorite place up
Yeah.
in Scotland, which is
Scotland.
beautiful, by the way. My
Yeah.
brother and I drove close to it when we were up there. But I think they made a mistake by flying her back from Edinburgh. I thought they should have put, as much as the British love their trains, put her on a train and let that
Had the
train
train, yeah.
slowly wind its way through both countries all the way down to London, where you have most of the country be able to line up, kind of like
Yeah.
the FDR train, the Lincoln train, and how successful those were, and let the country say goodbye.
There
You
must
can't
have
say
been-
goodbye with a plane going
Yeah,
overhead.
there must have been a reason, but I can't imagine what it would. Other than time, it would take another 2 days to go 10 miles
Well, they
an
had
hour.
10 days.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. Maybe they said, if we're going to have a train moving 7 miles an hour for 22
By the
hours
way,
to get to London.
That was the most tracked plane in history. People tracking
bet.
it to pay homage, and this was the most viewed television thing in history.
I'll bet. I'm sure that's true too. Yeah, we'll probably never see this again, and I'm glad I'm glad I watched a whole bunch of it. And if you didn't, you should look it up. You should try to watch highlights of it or whatever.
And I
mean, it
understand
will-
why some people are over it and are tired. And why are we seeing so much of it here in America? I totally understand that and everything.
It was historical.
But
I mean,
the history of it-
It'll never happen again.
Yeah, do you
You'll
s-
never see this. Who's gonna Cleopatra come back to life, and Jesus? I mean, who's gonna have a parade? What
No one
world
like
leader
this.
is ever gonna have something like this done?
They probably won't do something. When Charles does, it'll probably be toned down because it won't be as
I'm
much.
sure of it.
Did you see they're in St. Giles in Edinburgh where they first had her?
Yeah.
Everything. My brother and I were there in 2013, and for some reason I didn't want to go inside the cathedral. I wanted to people watch, so I set out on that. It was a wall, and they literally brought her like 2 feet from where I was sitting
Really?
in there. And I was sitting there watching. I called my brother and said, "Look at that! The hell, we were standing right there." It's the history of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, amazing. And Prince Harry had a little set to, poor baby, and he almost didn't wear his uniform. And again, he served. He was a warrior. He could have gotten out of going to the army or he was a chopper pilot. And so, I mean, you gotta salute him for that. However, he wore his military uniform, but it was way different from his brother Prince William. As they stood vigil over the Queen's coffin at Westminster Hall before the funeral today, the initials ER were seen on the shoulder of Prince William's uniform and on Prince Andrew's military regalia during another senior royal vigil. The initials stand for Elizabeth Regina, which is Queen Elizabeth in Latin. Prince Harry was allowed to wear his military uniform at the last minute. He was going to have to wear civilian clothes because he gave up his military link to the British Empire when he, turned his back on them and married that girl. But King Charlie III, Mr. Degenerate King Boy, said, "Oh, go, you can wear your uniform." But they kept off the letters ER as an insult to him not being the full military thing, apparently, although some people, it was a surprise that he was even allowed to wear the uniform just a few minutes before the thing started. And one official said, "We don't know why the initials were removed from Prince Harry's uniform, but I'm told that he was so distraught over the removal that he seriously contemplated not even wearing the uniform at all." The Duke of Sussex wore the Blues and Royal No. 1 uniform with a bunch of medals. He wore his morning dress instead. I don't think like this personal attack, but unfortunately believes that they are. Harry and wife Meghan Markle departed from royal duties, moved to the United States, and described the British media's intrusion and racist demeanor toward their family. And people are saying now it might have just been an oversight I don't think they
There's
do
no such
oversights
thing
in the British
as an
Empire for
oversight.
the Queen's funeral. I'm pretty sure this
Well,
was not.
they didn't have to let him wear anything.
Yeah, right. They could have said, "Screw you, pal,"
March
and
naked
kept
in
him
there.
out of there. They could have kept him out
Yeah.
entirely. But and again, it just that was just creepy. And when I saw him, and I just felt negative. I just felt really
Here's something
bad
I know
for
would
him.
drive you crazy. It would drive me crazy. Because being Americans and being the way we were raised.
Yeah.
Did you notice who got in the car first every single time? The king gets
Yeah.
in the car first,
Right.
not the wife.
Yeah.
And here me, I like you always let the woman go
Right,
first.
absolutely.
Not
Yeah.
King
Hold the
marches
door,
right
baby.
his
Yeah.
ass in there, and she waits for him.
Yeah, I know.
And here's another thing. You talk about a great job. The guy who makes swords in England, because
Oh my
everybody
God.
has a sword.
You have to have a sword, and those aren't diddly squat swords. Those are beauties.
Well, I wonder where they get their swords. Who makes them?
Well, it's Chiverian steel. I mean, clearly.
What did they call them?
What is it?
What they call them in Game of Thrones?
Terrarian. That's a Terrarian
Not
steel.
Terrarian
That's
steel. Damn it, what
it's
was it?
something like that.
Valerian steel.
Valerian steel. Oh, they got Valerian steel. Oh, very funny. I thought it was too bad when President Child Molester Joe tried to crawl into the coffin, though. I thought that was rather unfortunate.
Oh, did you see the guy at the end, the Lord Chamberlain? The last thing he does after they take the crown off and the globe off and the scepter off, and give it to the Archbishop, and
Yeah.
he puts it on the pillows. The Lord Chamberlain takes his rod, his wand, as they call it, and he breaks it in half.
I didn't see that. I
He
missed
broke
that.
it in half, and he set it on top of the casket, and it is buried with her.
Wow.
And then
cool.
it's slowly lowered while they were saying
Yeah.
it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't see every minute, obviously, because I was working with a thing. But I'm so glad that I did. I saw it for hours. It was on for hours while I was
And
working.
the music, the fugue music, and everything from the organ was like.
Yeah.
And what got me a few days ago, they started doing some hymn, and it was a hymn that was sung in my grandmother's church over in Mississippi. And I
Oh.
go, wait a minute, I know that one.
Well, yeah, they're very common. Yeah, absolutely. Little known Queen controversies.
Oh, really? You want to do that now? Let's
well,
do it
we
right
can do it
now.
later if you. I didn't know
No,
if it's
no,
all
no.
tied in together here. And before we move on to any other possible
These
subjects.
are small little things that over
me.
the years have been a little trouble, as we found out, and we're just finding out now about some of them here. Like after unmistakable muscle mass growth and increased aggression, the Queen admitted to taking synthetic testosterone to max out her performance in her royal duties.
You said duties.
The Queen, something we didn't. I don't know if you noticed the Diamond Jubilee a few months ago, which was so wonderful. They were able
Yeah.
to do that before. The thing she did with Paddington Bear, did you see that?
No.
Oh, it was so cute. It was so cute. Where basically she's sitting across from not a cartoon, it was live action type
Yeah.
thing, CGI. And at the end of it was so touching because he goes, I always carry, and had a little sack, I always carry my marmalade sandwich. I don't even know what that is. A marmalade sandwich for emergencies. And she goes, oh, I do too. And she pulled her purse out and pulled a sandwich out of her purse. And at the very end of it, it was so touching. He goes, thank you for everything.
Wow.
And she just looks at him and goes,
I'll be
thank
damned.
you. And it was so cute. Thank you for everything.
I'll be
And it
damned.
just summed it up. Well, anyway, we didn't know this. The Queen ran over Paddington Bear with her car.
Oh no.
A horrific scene from which the Queen was never held accountable.
She got away with it.
In 2005, several members of the Minnesota Vikings, along with Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, allegedly participated in a sex party on a rented houseboat.
Well, there you are. On the River Thames, I'm guessing.
One of the main controversies, her failing to recapture America. It's at the top of the British royal family's to-do list every year, right above India and Barbados. They failed to openly defend Prince Andrew's sexual appetites. Choosing instead to quietly shelter the alleged pedophile, the royal family failed to boldly assert the prince's birthright of sexual access to absolutely anyone, anywhere.
By the way, he came out smelling pretty good on
Oh,
all this.
I thought he looked creepy the whole
yeah,
time.
he is creepy, and he's getting old. I mean, he looked really seedy to me. But again, she was his only real defender, and she had to, knock him down.
Well,
a
if you
peg.
watch, he was the favorite.
Yeah.
He was her, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah,
He was her
yeah.
favorite.
And she, I mean, mean, she must have had to swallow hard a couple of times when she, stripped him of his royal duties from showing up in public. But she still was his, he was still her favorite.
He would sometimes borrow when he was in, I forget what it was. He was also a helicopter pilot. He would borrow one of the helicopters when he was in the services and just show up at one of the palaces and just fly in and drop in on her. I mean, that's when. But finally, the biggest controversy left the royal family: the Queen's failure to assassinate the Duchess of Cornwall, a rare miss from the Stone Cold Killer, which is Camilla, by the way.
Yeah. What a snake. I mean, just a snake. The royal consort. Royal concubine.
Did you see the conspiracy theory that came out within minutes of her dying?
No.
September 8th, within minutes, this thing hit YouTube, and I forget what they called it. It was some kind of protocol that went in place, and they did minute by minute what was going to happen, where the royal family were going to take over Europe or something like that. And all of it was complete bullshit, because you knew as it was going that none of this is happening. But it kicked in, this protocol kicked in as soon as she died. That Charles was going to get kicked out and William was going to take it. And it was just unbelievable.
Oh, my God. Blame it on Trump. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Any thoughts on the Queen and the funeral and so forth?
He's been awful quiet over there. You don't like the Queen? What's the matter with you over there?
No, it's just been going on for a week. So, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought it was, like you said, it's a tradition like no other tradition.
Was it the Masters?
Like the Masters, but we don't have that kind of history over here. So I mean, it's just. Plus, we're not a monarchy, but it's still pretty cool to see.
It's amazing. You go to Boston and you walk around and there's graveyards from like 1600, stuff like that, and you think, gosh, that's old. And then you go over to London, it's like that Westminster Abbey's been there since William the Conqueror.
Yeah, was it like 600 years ago?
Oh, 1,000. It's over 1,000 years old.
Yeah, well, there you are. Yeah.
I mean, Isaac Newton's buried there, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was going through the Grand Canyon, you're hanging out on rocks. This is completely off the subject, but you're looking at rocks that are 6 billion years old.
Yeah.
It's just kind of cool to see history like that.
That's a nice attempt to try and make yourself relevant there.
I like that. Tried to make it about me. I turned it around.
Didn't you miss me? Did you miss me?
Yes. Oh, my God.
By the way,
yes.
I guess we finished with the Queen. The Queen brought to you by Atlanta Custom Closets.
Oh,
the
excellent.
entire 10-day affair was brought to you by Atlanta Custom Closets.
I'll be damned.
ClosetPro.net, 404-255-0589. That's Atlanta Custom Closets, ClosetPro.net. And you can tell it's still got a little... Every once in a while,
Keep your lady happy. You get you if you have a woman in your life and she has a closet.
I'd like the three of us.
Unlike the three sitting here right now. Keep her happy, Atlanta Custom Closets, and she'll probably say thank you. I'll bet you.
I bet she will.
Wouldn't be if it's put a little high heels off in a little corner or something, maybe for you to play with later. I'm just saying. Oh, mercy. Had a lot of fun at the horse show this weekend and took a lot of good videos. I'm not going to I can't make it to the stable today, but I'm going to put some more videos up there later. But anyway, so I got a lot of feedback about, and in fact, I'm going to put up some video a little later on today of some of the young girls at one of the competitions over the weekend at the horse show. And it's amazing. You see these little girls who are, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old controlling a big dancing horse. I mean, it's really just really amazing. But anyway, thank you so much for your comments on that. It was really kind of cool. A couple things in local stuff. The local media forgot to point out to us that it happened, I heard over the weekend. Atlanta, Georgia has now reached another milestone, my friends. Atlanta, Georgia now has a higher murder rate than Chicago. Congratulations. Yes, and since white supremacy is the most dangerous threat to America today, I guess all those black guys killing each other are secret Trump supporters, apparently.
Well, you know one of the reasons? Because the hoods from Chicago and Detroit and places are moving here.
Yeah, well, sure. It's so much more open and free.
Yeah, there's more people
You
with
get away
money.
yeah, right. It's when I came here in '72, and Atlanta was, quote, the New York of the South. I mean, when you say that today, it's more offensive than anything else. But back in 1972, Sam Massell was mayor. We were about to get our first black mayor. Yeah. Atlanta was a hopping hub. I mean, again, we used to have a reporter go down to the airport just to cover all the celebrities and big important people flying into Atlanta every day for whatever reason, and we were called the New York of the South. That kind of disappeared for a very, very long time. But all of a sudden, murder capital of America, for God's sakes, more than by per capita, a higher murder rate than Chicago. A worse situation than
here. Did you see where your favorite show, Law and Order? All 3 New York shows are doing this massive event where all 3 shows are together.
Yeah. And
they're using the Stones' Gimme Shelter, by the way, for the promos. And you know what their main focus is? What the biggest thing happening in New York that makes all 3 shows have to get together?
What?
Domestic terrorism. Because we all know the biggest crime problem in New York City is white nationalists.
White nationalists, yeah. Like I say, white supremacy, yeah, that's our biggest danger.
In New York City.
In New York City.
They're just making shit up now. Seriously, there's this whole thing. I'm going, gosh, actually looks good. I might actually watch that. There's all the big stars and everything, and then it says we're going to cut down on this domestic terrorism. What? Is that the ones that blew up the towers?
Yeah,
the ones that
exactly.
are robbing the Hasidic Jews in the streets?
Yeah, you remember those.
And pushing Asian women into front of trains?
Yeah, you remember those. White supremacists.
All those white guys from Iowa?
In fact, I'm going to talk about a murder case coming up here that really, the manager for Ludacris. Have you followed this story at all? There's something really fishy about this, and I don't understand how Kyle Rittenhouse can be hounded and still be hounded, and yet, well, we'll talk about the difference in, I guess it's a racial thing. And I support this guy acting in self-defense, if I understand this correctly.
Did you see where Farrakhan came out and said something actually? He goes, we have in this rap world, we have too many 35-year-old man boys running around.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and you know why? It's because somebody, when they were 12, 13, 14, said, the way to the future, rap music, baby. If you can only get into the rap community, forget going to school and college and coding or whatever. Man, if you can get into the music scene and get, what do you expect? Anyway, now, a couple things going on. There was a great meme from a girl named Alana. And the meme is Martha's Vineyard set a beautiful example for the nation. They used the military to deport every last illegal immigrant from their island in less than 48 hours. The entire nation should emulate Martha's Vineyard. Think about it. Less than 2 days, they used the military to get rid of every single one of them.
That was a faster response than Benghazi.
Right, exactly.
By the way, which brings us to the Mexican joke of the day.
Okay, yes.
How many busloads of illegals does it take to make Martha's Vineyard go full racist?
Takes 2.
Just one.
One.
Just one.
I mean, it's unbelievable. By the way, I've heard over the weekend, Democrat strategists are already explaining how they're going to get creamed in the elections this fall because of Republican gerrymandering.
Yeah, you're right.
All of a sudden, they're bringing up the old Republican gerrymandering to keep black people from going to the polls. They're already challenging the election before the election. I thought if you challenged an election, you were therefore a subversive anarchist and should be investigated by the FBI.
Oh, the libs of TikTok just posted a George Takei thing from 2016, basically saying that anybody. Oh, but no, he's basically disputing the Trump election, saying the Russians had what do you call it? CIA has decided that the Russians involved themselves in our election, and therefore it is an illegitimate presidency. And then they put this one he wrote up: anybody who questions an election should not be allowed to run for office.
Yeah, they all questioned it. Yeah, every single one
years.
questioned it in 2016. Every single one stood up in the Senate chamber and said, "We object to we want an alternate slate of electors to make sure the presidency."
And they've been questioning him since Al Gore in 2000.
That's right.
Every
I went to Supreme
election
Court.
They've lost. Yeah. They've questioned.
Yeah, and of course they're not. The FBI's leaving them alone.
course.
Scumbag Nazis at the freaking FBI, honest to God. Sign of the times, a couple things kind of related. The New York Times has been mocking conservative politicians running for office in their campaign ads using their wives. And the editorial board at the New York Times actually condemned the practice of politicians bragging about how their wives support their candidacy and their family values, and so as though that's some sort of unethical. I mean, because they don't believe in family values. That's what I mean. These are the people who say that you ought to be able to get an abortion anytime you feel like it for any reason, including after it's born. I know. Of course, they condemn using wives in commercials because it's wholesome. I mean, how did that change? I mean, what happened to flip that around?
They're desperate, is what's going on.
God,
desperate.
They're totally anti-family, anti-women. They cover up the President Pervert's backside attack on his female staffer. Remember, even Carmela Sidepiece said, "Well, I believe." Remember, Biden's woman, female aide. He came up behind her and did something really offensive physically to her. And she went, she complained about it, and he said, "What's the matter? I thought you liked me." Remember, and got away with it. And even Carmela Sidepiece said, "Well, I believe the woman, I believe her, but I also know Joe Biden." So that's all they have. They didn't, they supported Hillary Rodham P. Stinky Fart Cabbage. They condemned Monica Lewinsky and still do. In fact, she was she's been screwed from the very beginning. But this has been going on and on and on, and they've never protected the women. And speaking of the New York Times, did you hear that 1,300 members of the New York Times do not want to go back to work? They want to keep getting paid, and they want a raise. They want more money to stay. They're 1,300 New York Times workers saying, "We're not coming back to the office, and we're not coming back unless you give us more money. The inflation's too much. We can't afford to drive. We have to stay home."
They're not driving.
I know.
They all take the train.
I know. And they're demanding 1,300 will not go back to work, and they want more money, or they're not coming back at all.
They're hastening the end of that newspaper is what they're doing. They're hastening the end of it.
Well, again, my little friend Gretchen sent me a notice from the Al Jazeera Constitution. They're now offering 6 months of their new digital service for like a dime or something to get locked in, because they're going to stop issuing no more newspaper before long. In a matter of a few months, no more newspaper in Atlanta. Used to have the Atlanta Journal and the Atlanta Constitution, two major dailies.
Technically, we haven't had a real newspaper for 20 years.
We haven't since the
Think of all
mid-'70s.
the corruption from Bill Campbell and the Olympics and stuff. Think of all the corruption that this newspaper did not catch.
Right.
Because there's only one newspaper.
Yeah.
No competition.
And it's so biased that they're not going to. I mean, we all know the truth of it. Speaking of Democrats, in New York, again, this is New York now coming down to Atlanta. The Democrat Party in New York is now demanding that the legislature pass a bill titled "Standing is Tiring." Yes, folks, they want to require companies to offer chairs for people who have to stand, like cashiers and salespeople, like George in Seinfeld when he got the security guard a chair at the men's shop and the guy fell asleep and got robbed. And they want to demand chairs because standing all day is very tiring and it's unfair to employees.
Have you seen the new standing chair, the invention?
I don't think
you
I
strap
have.
it on your back and your legs, and you can walk around no problem. But when you want to sit down, you just
lean
down.
back. Yeah, but what's it like carrying it around with you?
It's like made of plastic. It's just a plastic chair.
Oh my God!
I seriously, and you walk around like a robot. Then you sit down. You sit down.
I can understand that for like when you're going on hikes and things
Well,
like
if you're going to a sporting event or
No,
you're going
if
to
you're a factory worker. I think it's mainly for factory workers who have to stand up and do a lot of
Well,
stuff.
that probably makes sense if it's portable enough and light enough where it doesn't bother you to what doesn't affect your motion.
Well, I just Googled one and they're like a stick. They fold out and come out.
Yeah, well, it's like those little one-seat little cushion
This is
things
the one that
a
fits
stick.
on your back. That you strap it on.
I'll be
It
damned.
goes from your shoulders down to your ankles.
I have never heard of that. I shall be damned. Anyway, that's what's happening. Oh, and speaking of some of our liberal communities, I have not talked to my daughters about this, but as it turned out, in Denver, Colorado. Denver, Colorado is now doing a basic income program for homeless people. They will get $1,000 a month in cash every month for a year to use as they see fit. If you're homeless in Denver and you want $1,000, just go get it. Every month they give you $1,000. It's a $2 million contract for the Basic Income Project. Will provide, quote, direct cash assistance to more than 140 women, transgender, and gender non-conforming individuals in shelters.
Now, is this literally cash or is this a
Cash.
car? Is
No, it's money.
Okay, they're going to get those people robbed.
Not only that, they're going, or you know,
Killed.
You got robbed and killed, or the drug culture. I mean, can you imagine what's going to happen with the homeless people saying, "Here's your $1,000"?
They'll be dead by the time they get to the overpass.
Quote, the direct cash assistance will help more than 140 women and families in shelters move into stable housing, provide support so they can stay housed while opening space in our shelters to serve more people.
can
In
you
other words,
get-
they're trying to empty the shelters by paying people to go somewhere else.
What? Okay, what kind of domicile are you going to get in Denver?
Yeah, good luck.
Which their property rates are even worse than here for $1,000 a month.
When they legalized dope, I mean, the rents went nuts.
My brother
That's
should have
my
bought
kids.
two.
My
He should've
daughter.
bought two, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter's and her husband. Well, of course, my daughter Sarah and her husband are both working great jobs, so they can afford. They bought a house because they can afford it. But my daughter Jennifer can't. She's in partially subsidized because she's disabled, and she's in a partially subsidized apartment unit, and there's no way she could afford to get a 1-bedroom apartment someplace on the dole. Because it's again $1,000 a month cash. Oh my God. Let's see. All right, coming up, I want to talk about the Braves going to the White House and also the new plant for the electric vehicle plant for Hyundai. He wants to break ground in Georgia. Near the Georgia coast. Maybe not so fast because of what President Showers with daughter has done seemingly to help the so-called Inflation Act, which is all a bunch of bull
By the
crap.
way, did he dodge a bullet with the train strike?
Oh my God!
That would have been the final
Yeah.
nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Because you realize how bad things are now, supply chain. If the train stopped, we're talking bare shelves almost everywhere.
Yeah, I know. And in fact, I think he asked when they mentioned the train strike and working for the railroad, he said, by the way, is that a 9-to-5 job or all the livelong day? And, sorry. You just had to ask that question, ladies and gentlemen. It's a funny line. I heard it from a guy. It's a funny line.
I was going to use it if you did.
It was a comedian on stage, and he was talking to the audience. I love when comedians are in back, and then the guy was talking to the audience. He said, "What do you do, lady?" She says, "Oh, I work for the railroad." And he said, "Is that a 9-to-5 job or all the little?" And I laughed. I never forget. It was years ago when I heard it, and every chance I get to use it, I use it, including using our friends at Wise RV Glass. If you have a glass issue in your motorhome, RV, camper, stuff like that, one of our Kimmer Show double sponsors. They sponsor not only the podcast, but also the podcast Facebook page, Wise, W-I-S-E, Wise RV Glass. If you have a motor coach, camper, RV, a vehicle like that, and you have any kind of a glass issue, could be, just a rear view mirror with a spiderweb crack in it, or one of those hard to find one-piece flat front windshields, or side mirror, or a side window, or whatever it is, maybe a fogged up double pane windows, whatever it is, they'll come to you, replace it in your own window frame, saving you time and money. It's an all mobile service. Now, wait a minute. Don't be, if you have a side view mirror that got cracked and you say, "Oh, I'm not going to call them for that." Yeah, that's what they do. They love this. This is what they do for a living. And by the way, no job is not only too small, no job's too big. If you have a fleet of vehicles that has a problem, they'll take care of that for you too. Wise RV Glass. Say hi to Russell. He's a kid running the place. Dad Carl retired not too long ago, and everything's going full swing. Wise RV Glass. All over North Georgia, all over Metro Atlanta. No job too small or too big. Here's the number. Area 470-345-6521. And on the web, wiservglass.com. Yes, it should be. Okie dokie. Let's see. A couple of things. Do you know, I mentioned this earlier. The Queen being buried with her late husband.
And father, mother,
They're like 24 of them or something.
grandfather. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it goes way there. I heard I think it was like 24 or 28 or something like that. Members are in there.
Well, she built the chapel in 1962 mainly for her dad, and so I don't know if there's that many down there.
I think I heard the number
Really?
24.
Is that many?
26 or 24, but that's in my head. I know I heard that number,
Hell,
but
that
I mean,
24 that goes back.
well, it's
Centuries.
1,000 years. I mean, well, but I don't know who qualified to be. I don't know who's in there. I don't have a list of those people, so I don't know. I assume all the kings. But how many? I mean, I don't know.
I imagine some are probably at Westminster, some at Windsor.
I
God
don't know.
knows where the rest
I
of them
don't
are.
know. Anyway, do you have you thought about burial plans for when you go?
I don't even have a will.
You don't have a living will?
I don't have a living will, and I feel bad about that.
Geez, just call that. Any service will do it for almost nothing.
I know.
Well, you got to do it.
I just don't want to sit down and write down everything with all the passwords and everything like that and say, here's
You
the
don't
list.
have to do that.
Oh, yeah, you do. You've got Bitcoin and you got other things. They got to know so they can get into it.
Well, yeah, I guess that's
They
true.
need all the passwords to get into
See,
it.
I'm lucky when you don't have anything.
All my money's tied up in cash right now.
All my money's in my pocket. I got $14. So, I forgot how much easier it is for me now that I've lost everything. I used to have real estate and bank account.
Equity. Beef eaters.
And now my poor kids, well, if I died suddenly, do you know the mess that they're going to face in my townhouse to take care of all the crap that I've accumulated over my
I actually
life?
told, when the last time I had a heart procedure, I told my nephew, I said, now look, there's a drawer in the bathroom. Just
go in.
Just leave it closed. Leave
I
it.
told my kids, if I go, when you go up into my bedroom where my computer stuff is, just firebomb it. Just set it on fire. Don't touch anything. Don't anything you see, throw away. Any
Flamethrower.
notebooks.
Yeah.
Just,
Burn.
I just douse it
Burn
in
on delivery.
kerosene.
Burn notes.
Anyway, what about you, Flounder? Have you thought about? Of course, you're young. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
thinking about this, like.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I have a basic will. Everything goes to my brother. So,
But I mean, in terms of burial, have you have an idea? Have you thought about anything?
I definitely want to be cremated.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's what all happened.
I basically probably want to be, I'll probably be cremated and sprinkled over my mom's grave in Mississippi,
Yeah.
probably.
I've got Harley's ashes, my bull mastiff.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
true. I got my
have
dogs, yeah.
I have Jack the Good Boy's ashes in a box that must weigh 200 pounds.
Right.
And I can't even move it. It's in my garage, and I can't move it from one side to another. And I don't know what the hell am I going to do with 200 pounds? Maybe it's 300 pounds. I mean, it's an enormous.
heavy.
You should take it to the farm. You should take it to the barn.
Well, but I mean, that's where I had him, but that's not my memory. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I gave some to Jennifer, and she made me that wonderful horseshoe with Jack's ashes in it and stuff. But anyway, I'm going to be cremated. It's already in my living will. There's nothing to it. Any lawyer can do it for $100. Or what's that legal Zoom?
No. I'm telling you right now, never
that's right.
ever
We had a
get in
problem
bed
with
with
those
those
people. Yeah, that's right.
Because it takes forever to get out of it.
Call our talk show, our podcast, Cindy, our lawyer. I guarantee she can make a. It'll
She's
be
not
a
our
form.
lawyer, she's our tax person.
Oh, that's right too. Well, she probably has a living will form. I'll bet you. Isn't she in Notary Public?
Probably.
Anyway, you definitely
Let's
need.
ask her, Cindy. She's right here.
Oh, is she? Hey, hi, Cindy. Hi, guys. Anyway, okay. Boom.
yeah. Cindy just said, fun conversation.
Sorry. Excuse
We really
me.
have talked about death a lot today.
Well, I don't know. Let's talk about the Braves. Braves are going to the White House. President Pedophile is going to have the Braves up there September 26th while they're in town to play the Nationals. And they claim, I love the way the Al Jazeera Constitution prints the letter, the news story. It says Biden has hosted several championship teams at the White House with cheerful, apolitical celebrations that have departed from the style of his predecessor.
Well, his predecessor was only because the teams ran their mouths about him, and he said, well, if you don't want to come here, don't come here then.
Trump disinvited the Philadelphia Eagles from a celebration for the Super Bowl victory after most of the players and coaches said, we're not going to go, we're boycotting because we hate the man. They hate the president of the United States. We said, screw you, you're not coming.
F you.
That's not his fault.
Right.
That's the hateful, divisive fault of the Democrats who have been trying to destroy this country since he rode down that freaking escalator. I mean, since that very day.
If you're brave, do you just take the high road and go?
Take the high road. You go. You wear your suit and tie, and you shake his hand or get a picture, whatever. And you don't keep.
I
you
wouldn't
don't
get
say,
a picture.
Well, I
wouldn't.
I wouldn't voluntarily ask for a picture, but if he's standing there and they take a picture, I'm not going to,
I'm
give
way
him
in
the
the
finger.
back at the far end is where I am.
Yeah, but I'm definitely not in any way supporting, saluting.
No.
I mean, the man's a disgrace. He's a pervert. He's a child molester. He ruined his daughter. He took showers with his daughter to the extent that even she admits in her diary that it probably turned her into a slut. Sorry, no, wait a minute. She says she banged everybody. She would have sex with anybody. And she said, probably because my dad used to take showers with me.
Let's. Norm Macdonald has a good thought about that. He goes, look, let's stop all the slut shaming. Because,
When you think about it.
Because we don't want them not being sluts.
Right.
Now.
There are certain, there's an opportunity for all of us to be happy with our situations. And some ladies are givers.
The world
They're
needs
just givers.
sluts too.
Well, again, I don't. As long as everybody knows everything,
front?
Honesty right up front. I'm never going to fall in love with you, but I can't wait to be with you. I mean, whatever. That could be a thing.
Is that your motto? Is that your new T-shirt from
I'm not
FarmhousePrintingCo.com?
going to fall in love with you.
In
By
fact,
the way, did you ever tell a girl, I'm not going to fall in love with you?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that gets him going.
It's like a challenge.
Yeah.
At that
Oh,
point.
yeah.
It's like a challenge.
Well, on second thought, woo. Anyway,
And I've had the ones tell me, I ain't falling in love with you either. And then next thing you know, you're having to call the cops because they won't quit ringing your doorbell.
Well, my favorite is when they pretend they're in love with you and then actually lie to you. Well, whatever. Anyway, so they're going to have the Braves, and you got to take the high road. I mean, they got to get, I suppose. I would. We're national champions for one thing. Trump, of course, got blasted by all these people. Biden and other politicians pushed Major League Baseball to boycott the All-Star Game held at Truist Park. And, of course, Stakey, the Kool-Aid monster, was then lied about how she said, I was never against having the All-Star Game. Oh, please. So the whole thing is just disgusting, especially since the Braves got back at Major League Baseball by winning the World Series, which I think was pretty cool. And speaking of Joe Potato Head, the child molester, President Pedophile, the Hyundai Motor Company Group, is supposed to break ground on the new electric vehicle factory near the Georgia coast. Maybe that has to change a little bit because President Stupid signed his so-called Inflation Act, which is actually just the Green New Deal Liberal Act for electric vehicles and so forth. But what he did when he signed the thing into law, it turns out that any electric vehicles that are assembled overseas no longer qualify for the $7,500 price break. And because the new plant is going to be making batteries or whatever, but they're still going to be assembled overseas. So the new Georgia plant is saying, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that when he signed this bill, all the cars we're going to be building here will not qualify for the $7,000 500 exemption? Which Hyundai is now saying, wait a minute, you just basically increased our price by $7,500. Maybe we shouldn't build this plant after all. Thank you, President Stupid. Geez, he cancels the pipeline the first thing in office and then goes this kind of route to try to get the Green New Deal over the next 20 years.
One of the great scandals that the media is overlooking, and it's in that Vanity Fair out there. You probably read it.
Yeah.
We're actually going to Greenland, which another shows how smart Trump was to
Maybe
try and
willing
buy
to buy
Greenland, because that's where they think the cobalt, the nickel, and the lithium might be found, especially the cobalt, which they need to make these batteries.
Right.
And they're talking about they're still using child slave labor in the Congo to get these cobalt things out.
That's right.
They're running out of it. And they have to destroy the earth to get to them, and no one in the media is touching any of that stuff.
That's right.
That there's no way in hell even close to prepared to everybody going electric.
You don't think China's is already taking control of?
That's why they went to
any minerals.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Afghanistan. That was the only reason to be there was because of the lithium.
That's right. That's right. By the way, speaking of that, a couple of things.
Uh-oh.
Well, okay, I'm holding up a box. The other day, I because of my teeth thing and all the weight I've lost, for some reason, I don't know what is going on now. My eating habits are way different than they used to be. I'm just not eating like I used to. I don't have the same stuff or whatever. But the other day in the store, I was going through one of the things at the Publix, and they had a big bin in the middle, and it said 2 for 1. And it was 2 for 1 family-sized goldfish.
That's a lot of goldfish.
That's a lot of goldfish. So I bought 2 of them for $1. They were 2 for 1, and it was, $3, whatever it was. It's okay. All right, so I bought 2 of them, and I took them home, and I opened up the one and started eating them, and I realized I don't like them anymore.
What? Who
I mean,
doesn't
they're
like
okay.
Goldfish.
I'm just telling. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on in my. I don't know. My tastes are different, maybe, or maybe it's just age, or maybe because I had the teeth out, it changed my taste buds up in that area of my mouth. I mean, something's going on. Something's definitely.
Well, they're not Cheez-Its have more flavor.
Well,
I
these
think.
are flavor blasted extra cheddar goldfish.
Wow.
Now
Gross.
and again. They were fine, but it wasn't like, oh boy, I forgot how much I love goldfish. I really don't care one way or the other, so these are for you. You boys. Here, we got a goldfish for
called
you.
them gross.
Also, Pete Davis, I'm holding up now the book, The Terminal List, Jack Carr, and this is the series that you...
I'm on the last episode. By the way, it's very good on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's very good. I tell you what, there's a scene. I
Pratt.
don't know if it's in the book. There's a scene where he catches the Mexican guy, and the crap he does to him, it made me fast forward.
There's a lot.
I'm not going to read the book. You want to give it?
Oh, you got to read the book.
No, once I've
I
seen
want you to read the first
TV
20,
thing.
read the first 15 pages because
All
I
right.
want to see what the opening of when I tried to tell you about the book before. You didn't want me to tell you because you didn't know whether it was like the series.
All right.
So just for kicks, it starts out with him setting the stage for what he's about to do, what he wants to accomplish before he dies.
It's a good TV show.
Yeah.
I'll give it
Now,
to you.
and I will say this: it was good. It was good reading. It was easy to read. I didn't, I could keep going with it. It wasn't the best writing in the world, like Lee Child, I think it's a little better, or Michael Connelly, guys like that. But anyway, it was well done. It was well written, well done. I did not like the ending.
Okay, I haven't got to the ending yet, so.
And that's the other thing. I wanted to find out whether the ending on the series is the same thing as the ending in the book, which is potentially hopeful, by the way. But again, I didn't really like for whatever
Well, see,
reason.
that's why you need to get that Fire Stick, or whatever, to get Netflix, because you would love The Crown, and to get Amazon for stuff like this.
Well, in fact, Scotty the Window Guy
and by the way,
has
that Amazon, that new Lord of the Rings thing, it's fantastic.
really.
I've watched like the first 3. It's
Really?
like amazingly well done.
Well, just very quickly, our buddy Scotty the Window Guy has bought a whole bunch of TVs for $299, and he said he streams it with Roku.
Did they fall off the back of a truck?
He's shopping Roku on Amazon, and he has the Roku. And because we stream Roku, and he got a $300 TV set that has them all like that. Also, my buddy Kevin Hauk, our Delta pilot, is once again saying, Kimmer, the Fire Stick is a one-time $30 charge, then you own it. You just use YouTube TV through the Fire Stick as your TV provider instead of Comcast. The YouTube TV is $60 a month. Comcast Internet, $60 a month.
I've used it, and he's right, but you don't get all of the channels.
Yeah.
But again, it is the option. It takes a little getting used to.
Yeah.
Because you can't, the one thing that's tricky is, if you go search and then you go to a show, you can't go
missed the
back.
Yeah.
See, there's certain steps where you can't go back to the TV guy.
Well, and again, I did get Comcast down $70 a month from what it was, down $70 a month. So I'm
a businessman.
folks. I'm trying to save money. I swear to you, we do need your assistance. I'm not spending any money on
I'm going to
me.
have to do it too because I'm tired of. Remember when I told you that they wanted me to purchase my controller broke?
Yeah.
So they wanted to go. Well, it's a one-time fee for the. I go, what are you talking about one-time fee? It's $20. I go. Screw that! I'm not buying a thing because then it's mine.
Yeah.
If I'm buying it,
Right.
I'm not giving it back to you.
Right.
But I don't need it. The other one was just slow. I don't need it. And then she goes, "Don't worry, I'm going to take that off." They took it off and they put it on the next bill. And they did it last week where I couldn't go
Tried to
anywhere.
trick you?
I know where the store is now. It's on Roswell Road, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to say, someone's getting this up their ass if it's not taken off my thing.
Yeah, that'll get their attention.
And you know what? It's shaped where it's in the realm of possibility.
That happened to me where I had to return the box. You know, if you and I returned it, but I lost the tracking number, and they sent me to credit over like $50.
That sneaky bastard. We'll take it off, and then a month later they snuck it back on.
Yeah. Now I have look at all these 1, 2, 3, all the days. Like
the
I got 10
newspapers, they're old
sports
now.
sections. Well, you might want to look through the feature stories or articles or who did well. I don't know. Anyway, I saved them for you. If you, I mean, you're a reader, you like to read. If there's nothing much in the sports section, it's like 2 pages long. But between that and the book and this Vanity Fair, I finally finished too. I don't know whether you've seen that one or
this
not.
dickhead, Lewis
Yes,
Hamilton. Talk
another.
about it.
Yeah.
He's a great driver, but what a race baiting ass.
Yeah. He's a black NASCAR driver.
No. He's
no,
F1.
He's
He's
the
Formula One.
F1 series and the big European series.
You know what I
guys.
was thinking about? Remember when IndyCar and CART split and how it just almost destroyed
Yeah.
the Indianapolis 500 for 20 years?
Yeah.
They're just now getting back to
Yeah.
the point where anyone cares.
Yeah.
That's what golf is doing now. This
Well,
split
here we
is
go.
gonna
Yeah, this
destroy
live
golf.
business, the European, the Saudi Arabian tour, 3-day instead of 4-day tournament, and they're all guaranteed money. And you know, I'm not watching golf anymore. I don't. Maybe it's just because it's now football season or whatever.
Right, it's football season.
But again, I don't know.
So you got to show who's going to show up for the Masters.
Well, I don't. I mean, the Masters is invitational, so they can invite anybody they want.
Did you notice too yesterday that around 1 o'clock there was no football on cable television?
Yeah. Right.
12. There's never a
Well,
No,
one.
there was one game at CBS.
But the thing is, they had Fox pregame, and then there wasn't a game.
Right.
Oh yeah,
And
CBS had a game. I
Yeah,
watched it.
CBS had one, but it was only one game at 1
Usually
o'clock.
there's one
and
on
then
two of the
at
big
4.
neck. Yeah, exactly.
There's
There
only
was
one
not,
game at 1
Well,
o'clock.
if you went on the thing on Xfinity, I don't know if this was on Comcast. I don't have. No, I have the AT&T Uverse.
That's
I
what
went
I
on
have.
there, in the preview. It
Yeah.
said 1 o'clock. The Falcons at the Rams. I'm going. That's not till 4
no,
o'clock.
it's 4 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. And by the way,
there's
tonight
like-
there are 2 games on.
Are
There's-
they on
there's-
cable
Oh,
or
they're doing a
streaming?
double.
There's a game on the NFL Network and a game on ABC.
Well, I don't have
Different
the NFL
games.
Network. I do have Amazon, so I can watch the Thursday nights now.
yeah.
But I can't watch the NFL Network ones,
Unbelievable.
which is fine.
Yeah.
I know. You know what I noticed yesterday?
What?
After I staying up all day and night watching the Saturday college football games,
Yeah.
that's enough football for me. If the Falcons aren't playing, I'm
know,
hardly
in-
watching.
In fact, a couple of things. I was going to ask you about a couple of things.
I mean, I pay attention to what's going on, but I'm not watching it minute by
Yeah.
minute.
On Sunday mornings, I used to be a big fan of at 6:30 in the morning on ESPN. They would have NFL. NFL, what the hell? NFL something, and it was 3 guys. It was Sal Palantonio and the guy named Cosell, and then the other white guy, and they would break down plays and it's what the hell is it called?
Is it ESPN or NFL Network?
No, ESPN at 6:30 Sunday morning, and it's and it was called. It's the. I can't believe
The
it.
Hawaii game's just now finishing at 6 a.m.
Well, no, but it's every Sunday morning at 6:30, and they would explain how one team will face another, and what 11 personnel means, and how the 12 personnel, and what the. I mean, it was really specific on outline, diagramming plays and defenses for various things, and it's really pretty cool. And for years, it was the same 3 guys, including the guy Cosell, who supposedly invented the whole thing, NFL playback or whatever the hell it's called, 6:30 Sunday morning, and all of a sudden now they got rid of the guy who did all the specific talking of the specific plays because he was white, and now they have a black guy in there, a guy who played years ago as a defensive back somewhere, never heard of him, but now it's just like modern television. I'm telling you, you can't have white people on this, just white people on TV
They're
anymore.
not hiring white people. No.
Look at the commercials.
Well, we talked about it before we went. That white comedian actor is suing his agency
Yeah.
and the ad agency because they flat out told him we're not doing white
Yeah.
people anymore
We can't hire you. We cannot hire you.
because you're white.
Yeah, because of your race. Which I guess is one way of doing it. Anyway, but the other thing is, did you? One of the stories that hadn't been covered very much, but it's out there. Oregon playing BYU, and the student body at Oregon started shouting "F the Mormons" and so forth. They later apologized, but just kind of cheesy.
For the exact same thing that the BYU was accused of,
Right,
they did. I
against
mean, that's
Duke. Yeah.
And the Southern Cal did it first, and now Oregon's doing it because Mormons are fair game.
Yeah, that's right.
They're fair
if it's
game.
religious and white, if you're white and religious, it's open season.
You're fair game.
You can do whatever the hell you
now
want.
Oregon came out and said we're not going to put up with this. We're going to find out who did it. Southern Cal did the same
I
thing.
mean, it's all over Twitter. You
It's
can
a
see
student
who's
group,
who's.
yeah. And they apologize. The people who did it did apologize. But again,
out. You're kicked out. You're
Yeah.
gone.
yeah, first of it, just period. Also, I see that they're still trying to decide what the hell a catch is. God, I mean,
The
You've
NFL,
got
the
to be
first
kidding me.
The first NFL game I watched, flag on the first
Jesus.
play. I've got. There's too many flags. There's too many rules.
Uh,
why do we put up with this? There's
did,
too many rules.
I saw a defensive play got a flag. A guy for a defensive
barely touched
holding.
it.
He hit him in the shoulder
I
with his
know.
hand or something.
It's
It
a
wasn't
joke.
Oh my
It's a
god! And that
joke.
changed the outcome of the game. They gave him
know.
another first down to get a tie. They won the
agree.
game because of it.
And they came right out and said, I don't know if it's Collinsworth or somebody said that this is an offensive game now, and they're giving every benefit
It's
to the offensive side.
unbelievable.
Is it why don't they just put flags on them then and let them play flag football?
I'll tell you again, if you want to, the way it. Of course, here's an old man talking about the way it used to be.
Sam Huff.
But remember, clotheslining. I mean, he was famous for it. Chuck Bednarik and those guys take your freaking head off. But I remember,
Curtis.
linemen were not allowed to use their hands. You couldn't push anybody. Offensive linemen had to keep their hands on their chest and use your forearms to block. You were not allowed to push your. If you touched a defensive player with your hands, it was a penalty. You could not use your hands to push an opponent.
I still say if you put big clubs on their hands, there's no more holding.
Well, that's true. Big mittens. Yeah. Because they slide off.
Because then if they're holding, they're having to crook their arm, and then
you'll
it's
see it.
blatant.
Yeah. I believe me.
Because there's holding, as we said, on every play.
single play. You can see them wrap around their hands around the shoulder pads for when they try to pull them down, or in the jersey in their gut and stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable every time.
The NFL has become such a joke, and it's so massive that nothing they do will kill the goose.
Yeah,
and they
I
tried,
know.
and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. But the very first play was a flag. I'm going, oh, God.
Here we
After
go.
watching college football, which has enough flags, but nowhere near as many as it seems,
Yeah.
as the NFL has too many rules. It's like, what? Give me another sport where every other play comes to a grinding halt,
Yeah.
and we wait for the field lawyers to figure out what's going on.
I know.
What other sport puts
I know.
up with
I
that?
don't- I-
the NBA is bad, but it's not that bad.
No, I can't. It's just it's too much.
You know what? That's great. What happens when I watch too much football, NFL, and then I go watch baseball.
Yeah.
When I see a great play in baseball, for a split second, I go, God, I hope that's not called back. And then I realize they're not going
That's
to call it
baseball.
back.
Yeah, they don't call it back.
Unless there's a home run that was foul or something.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
thank God we don't have that in baseball.
Homer. Hey, our guy, Captain Stryker, hit 200 strikeouts. This third rookie in Braves history to do it. Period. And only
He's-
one of only 5 to do it.
He's the
all
first Braves rookie to do it since 1890.
Yeah, I saw that. The 1800s. And there were 2 of them. The last 2 who did it were both in the 1800s.
He's amazing.
that
And he's smaller than we are.
Not only that, he doesn't throw hard.
Well, he does.
Well, no, but it doesn't look. I
No,
mean,
it doesn't look
and
hard.
he's got, and his motion is tucked into his shoulder. I mean,
I don't know how he does
when he
it.
lets go, it looks like he's just pushing it all. I mean,
You know what it's like? It's like that movie was back years ago where the kid has an operation on his
Yeah,
arm, and
yeah.
suddenly he can throw 112 miles an hour for the
Right.
Twins.
Yeah.
Or the Cubs, whichever
Yeah.
team he was on. That's the way he looks
Yeah.
like.
It's amazing, and they're 101, 100. I mean, all the time. In fact, I was reading something in. I've got a Sports Illustrated, which I'm almost done with. I'll bring it to you probably by Wednesday show, and the stats are amazing. Lately, I'll tell you what. It's a story about Aaron Judge, and by the way, talk about an impressive guy. I've been. This is a huge article on Aaron Judge. The way he has changed his ability as a hitter is really unbelievable. He also changed his entire body to be able to steal bases. I mean, the guy really is an amazing story.
If I'm the Yankees, it's like you ain't stealing no bases.
Right.
You're going to stand there and just because he's injury prone to begin with.
Yeah.
But he's been injury free.
But
this
he's
year.
13 out of 14 steal attempts, and nobody 6'7"'s ever done that.
I
He's
wouldn't want
stolen
him
3
stealing.
times as many bases as anybody tall in the majors. I mean, anyway.
That's why I didn't want Ozzy tagging up.
Well,
I said,
and
I don't
here we
want
go,
you
broke
pushing
his-
off on that foot.
Broke his finger
And he
already
breaks his
with
finger. And I'm worried about his foot. I don't
Done
want you
for the season.
tagging up and pushing off that foot right now. But
Anyway, the thing about Aaron Judge is some of the stats were really phenomenal when you look at it. Apparently, the spin rate on sliders has in the last several years has increased like 60%, making it way harder to hit. Yep. The number of fastballs over 100 miles an hour is greater than ever in history, and it keeps growing. The average speed on the fastball is now something like 94 miles an hour when it used to be 90. I mean, and the different and they're moving. I mean, it's an incredible, the difference in baseball, being able to hit a baseball. Oh, and they also, physiologically, they explained using a round bat to try to hit a round ball to get full whacking contact. There's a level at which the ball
barrel up the.
It's called barrel. Yeah, barrel.
Barrel.
And when you barrel it up, it's the perfect hitting space against space, the round bat against a round ball. And the size of it, again, these pitches going 100 miles an hour, the size of the place on the bat for the barreling is the size of 3 postage stamps.
Yeah, and they said yesterday when he hit 58 and 59, he was the first batter all year to get 4 barrels in one game.
Yeah. I mean, it's and he taught himself. He was striking out 40% of the time 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. He was Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah.
Is what he was.
Yeah, and in fact, I don't think it was Stanton, but I forget. Encarnacion or not, and I've one of those Encarnacion, I think it was. The story was went to him one day in the tunnel and said, "Hey, every time you go at bat, you go back down in the cage, even during games, and swing and swing and swing and get ready for the next at bat. Every minute of every day, you're down in the cage doing." And he said, "Stop. You're just practicing bad swings." He said, you're going about it the wrong way. Less is more. And it finally sunk into him that he was doing this to be frantic, but it wasn't doing him any good. It was doing exactly the opposite. He was getting into bad habits. And he changed entirely. Instead, he'll hit 5 balls off the tee, 5 balls off the soft toss, and go play. I mean, instead of hitting 150, they have a machine that throws a fastball like 115 miles an hour. And he would take 30 swings on that machine and then go outside to say, well, it sure looks a lot different when it's only 100 now. So anyway, it's a whole big story on Aaron Judge.
If they let him go, they're idiots.
Yeah, well, he turned
Yankees.
down $50 million a year or something for $35 million a year, and he's going to be worth whatever if he can keep this up without being hurt.
They say the Giants want him big time because he's from out there, I believe.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Can you imagine? Oh, man.
That's fine. Get him off the Yankees.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, hold on a second. I want to talk about this rather bizarre murder case coming up here in the news, too, which I don't understand, and there's something I just don't know. But first, bragging about our Kemper Show podcast sponsors, M&S Title Pawn. The name of the company uses the letters M and the letter, S. M&S Title Pawn in a beautiful downtown Bremen, Georgia, 306 Laurel Street, Suite A. They're open Monday through Saturday, Love to see you in person. I'll give you a phone number here if you want to call M&S Title Pawn in Bremen, Georgia. 678's the area code, 821-3337. And if you want to look them up in person again, Monday through Saturday, if you want to look them up on the web, you spell out M&S, and it comes out to manstitle.com. M-A-N-D-S title.com, M&S-title.com. And that's how you get them, M&S Title Pawn in Bremen, 678-821-3337. M&S Title Pawn, and our appreciation for being a sponsor on the Kimmer Show podcast. And again, we are very, very, very grateful because we do want to keep this going. So, for the record. Now, okay, we don't do a lot of crime stuff on the podcast too much, but this really got my attention. There's the manager for Ludacris is a guy named Chaka Zulu. His real name is Ahmed Abafemi, but they call him Chaka Zulu. And he's a 52-year-old music executive, and there was a shooting in the parking lot of the Buckhead Shopping Center on Peachtree Road some time ago, and the shooting ended up killing a guy named Artez Benton, a 23-year-old DeKalb County native, recent college graduate. Everybody says was a wonderful guy. He was working and happy and a terrific guy, but all of a sudden there was a fight of some kind, and it turns out that the lawyer for Chaka Zulu, the manager for Ludacris, Zulu would have been killed the night there was a fight because 4 guys attacked him. Not only did they attack him, they jumped him from behind by a gang of at least 4, including the guy who died. So Mr. Zulu was forced to defend himself even after they stomped him, punched him, and kicked him while he was on the ground in a defenseless position and shot him in the back. So he pulled out his legally obtained firearm, for which he had a legally obtained permit, and shot the guy and killed him. And they arrested Zulu, who was being beaten, kicked, stomped.
Who arrested?
For murder. The police.
Why?
I don't know. Booked into Fulton County Jail on 4 charges, including murder. Released on $200,000 bond. The first arrest in the case since the night of the shooting. And his lawyer says it was clearly self-defense. They shot him in the back and were beating and stomping on him, so he fired back. And again, I'm thinking, Kyle Rittenhouse was black and still is for defending himself with a gun, and he's a scumbag and a Trump murderer who is an assassin. Of the media called Kyle Rittenhouse an assassin trying to go around killing people when he was being attempted murdered against him. But all of a sudden now, here's a black guy working for Ludacris, and they arrested him. And now people are defending him as for self-defense. I don't get the difference. And again, Atlanta's a murder capital of the world now. Even worse than Chicago.
Well, it's all that cultural enrichment.
I don't get it. There must be something I don't understand, because if they were doing that, why wouldn't you shoot them? I know. Anyway, I don't get it. And I think, here we go again. I don't understand anything about this stuff. How about a couple of quick good news stories? Remember the other day, well, actually, we didn't do a broadcast we did last Friday broadcast. There was a story going around that in the no-kill animal shelter called PAWS, P-A-W-S, in Atlanta, the other morning last week, some people got alerted by their security cameras, somebody breaking into the kennel. And by the time they got there and the cops got there, there was a burglary. 3 little puppies, including a toy terrier named Princeton and 2 other mixed breed puppies, were stolen. And as it turned out, all of a sudden, one neighbor shortly after that saw a dog wandering around in somebody's yard looking scared, took a picture of it, sent it to the shelter. They said, oh my God, that's one of the missing dogs that got stolen. So they went to pick it up. And then just over the weekend, apparently yesterday, a second puppy, the one named Violet, was found tied to a telephone pole. A guy was out walking his dog and saw this dog tied to a telephone pole wearing a red harness and a pink leash that did not belong to the kennel. So somebody had put their personal leash stuff on the dog, but then tied him up to a tree. And so he's been rescued. The third dog is still missing. But anyway, 2 of the 3 dogs that were stolen from the no-kill shelter are back. And again, they apparently stolen, just resell them, I guess. But again, two of them were mixed breed terriers. That's not, what's that worth? I mean,
They probably just stole them and figured they were something and realized they weren't.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, but can you, I mean, of all the things you want to, I mean, I don't know.
There's some evil people.
We are
in this
just
world.
not one people, you know? I mean, anyway. And one other thing, which is kind of a good news story and also a grotesque story. In Spalding County.
Get your foot off the boat.
What's that?
So get your foot off the boat.
Spalding. How many times have I talked to you about your language? Sorry, Grandpa. Right turds. A Spalding County man. No, I'm not, Grandpa. I'm playing golf. I'm playing tennis. No, you're playing golf and you're going to like it.
I did it the other day. A.G. Spalding, the baseball guy, it was his birthday. And then the next week it was his death day. And I went and did it both
Say,
times.
Spalding.
Get your foot off the boat.
I'll bet you $20 he eats it. Anyway, Spalding County, the other day, police went to a home after somebody complained about dogs fighting. They went into the home and removed 16 dogs. But when they went to the owner's house, he refused to let him in. His name is Christopher Cromartie, 63 years old. They took him into custody after a search warrant because he wouldn't let him in the house. The odor of waste of the dogs was so overpowering. When they opened the door, nobody could even go inside. It was so bad. Officers had to wear hazmat suits. 4 dogs were being kept in kennels designed for one animal. The home is placed on the nuisance abatement program in Griffin, Georgia, Spalding County. And because of the extent of the horrible conditions of the waste of they may have to tear it down. The house may have to be demolished. That's how bad it was with the guy keeping these dogs in there for dog fighting.
Let's get a happy story.
Well, I mean, the good news is they got the dogs. And he's in jail, so that's a happy thing. Just 2 things in our why black people don't want to be anywhere near white people anymore. A couple of things. Again, this was a big story over the weekend. There's a story about a girl whose introduction to historically black colleges came from watching A Different World reruns, a spinoff of The Cosby Show. And this young girl they talk about in the article said she dreamed of attending a predominantly black college. Then years later, she put the dream on the back burner because they don't get enough money at black colleges. They don't prepare you for the real world. And then she went to visit some campuses. She went to Georgetown and Northwestern, and she's black. And so a lot of the black students said, no, really, you got to go to Spelman. You got to go to Spelman. So she said, well, I'll check out Spelman. So son of a gun, she went to Spelman. And she realized, quote, I felt like Spelman was a place I could call home. On the other campuses, I didn't see anyone who really looked like me. Here, all you see is yourself, and you see yourself in different forms. It's a welcoming campus climate, lowering costs and stronger bonds with faculty and students, and the health impact is so much different for black students because it will help you preserve a better life by not being associated with all those white people.
That's true.
Yep, you blacks will be a lot better off if you just stop hanging around with Whitey. I mean, they're saying it out loud.
But think about it. Who screwed up California? It wasn't black people. It
well,
wasn't Hispanic people.
Yeah, it was.
It was white people that screwed up California.
Yeah. And now they got what they deserve. Yeah. And I still can't believe that Gavin Newsom thinks he could be president, the worst state in America. And he brags about his state being freedom and free. And
you know why he feels that way? Did you read that Vanity Fair article about the Getty family? The Getty, J.P. Getty?
Yes, yeah.
Did you realize he was the best man at one of the Getty?
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom's best man. His grandfather was lifelong friends with one of the old Gettys.
Yeah.
They've grown up with the Gettys hand in hand.
Yeah.
The Newsoms think they're God's gift to California. So why wouldn't he think that?
Yeah, I know. But talk about entitled.
Yeah, totally entitled.
Oh, my God.
Talk about elitist and above it all. That's why he held all those parties during COVID.
You could just list all the things wrong with California, L.A. and San Francisco, the street people, the drugs, the homeless, the crime. They now, Walgreens has shut down in San Francisco, fled San Francisco. One after another. The major topics in the gasoline, $8 a gallon. He wants to be your president.
One of my ex-girlfriends, who I recently reconnected with, is married and has lived outside of Oakland, to the east of Oakland, for her entire life.
There's
Entire
nowhere there.
life. Okay, but no, she's not in Oakland. She only works in Oakland. But to the right, there's some nice towns to the right.
Walnut Creek, or I think there's a
And
bunch
she
of them.
says within 5 years, me and my husband are in Oregon. We're not staying here anymore.
Well,
And
you can't.
a lifelong California.
Yeah, you can't. And it used to be the fear of earthquakes. Now it's a fear of the policies.
Yeah.
The crime. The filth. Oh my! Anyway. And
Well, they want to find you for leaving.
Yeah.
If you
He's
sell
going
your,
to punish you with you. Yeah.
Yeah, they
With
want
real
like
estate
some kind of like
taxes and
leaving
take your
tax.
money. I guess he's going to try to confiscate the money that you take to another state and charge you taxes on it for leaving it out of the bank or something or other like that.
That would be a big, you know what?
Yeah,
Come get me
exactly.
here in
Yeah,
Florida.
Here we go. Yeah, I'll give you my gun. Bullets first. Oh, and one more black thing in the news, which again, to try to split the races. A Dear Abby column, which I thought was rather bizarre. Dear Abby, at what age do you stop holding hands when going for walks? Let's an interlude here. When your last girlfriend, were you a hand holder? No. Flounder, are you a hand? You're not a hand. I'm a hand holder. If I'm with a girl.
Now, if I'm really with somebody and that's a relationship that's been going on a while, yeah.
Yeah, like if there's love there and all
I'm
that.
a hand holder.
Yeah, the
in
last
fact,
one it wasn't.
And I will always walk on the outside, curb her
do
properly
that.
on the outside. And when I hold her hand, I make sure that my hand is on the outside like this. I don't hold it underneath like so with a girl on top. I hold it around like that, like a
That's
man
not
does.
anal at
Because
all.
I've got her and a thing and a thing and a thing there. Because I'm the
Tell
man.
you what now, from now on, though, I'm getting in the car first. Just like the king.
Just like the king,
Just
baby.
like the king. I'm the king.
Anyway, so this lady writes in to say, at what age is it? Do you stop holding hands going for walks? I say never. My boyfriend thinks we're too old to be holding hands because it's a teenager thing. Now, she writes, I'm 61 and he is 60. I have just started dating again, and I love the feeling of holding his hand. I never had that during my 2 marriages. Now, here's where it gets interesting. She says, I am white and he is black, and he says it's just something black folks don't do. How do I get him to understand the holding hands gives me comfort and a good feeling? And she says, if you've told your boyfriend and he responds by making excuses and ignoring you, he isn't receptive to it. He's not going to hold your hand. I'll bet there's something else that she's complaining that the brothers aren't doing that she would like as part of a tradition for...
At his age, he probably still has a thing about being with
With a white woman,
little white woman.
Yeah, maybe it's possible.
He has a problem in public doing that. He hasn't gotten over that yet in public.
Yeah. But again, I was definitely a hand holder. Definitely a hand holder. I just.
You sometimes hold your own hand in here.
I hold my own hand frequently.
Just remember what the feeling was like.
I just. It's like the time I made the joke about Flounder, about all of us really haven't had sex in so long that now we go jogging wearing flip-flops just to remember what it sounds like.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Come on.
Sorry. Anyway, all right, hold everything. I'm coming up. Tips from experts, insider tips on things from experts about doing it with your daily life, a couple of things. Also, Pete's got a Mexican joke of the day.
We just did.
And, you did it?
The Martha's Vineyard takes Juan.
Oh, I didn't know that was related to the thing. All right, also coming up, it's true, it's Pat.
Yeah.
Still to come, coming up. And insider tips and some rather bizarre, we're going to mention Tipper Gore and bad music lyrics here coming up in a second for our fans here. But first of all, how about you're looking for a different ride? You're driving your car and you're thinking, I saw that car on the road the other day. I've always wanted one of those. Well, maybe now you can get it and save yourself a lot of aggravation and money in the meantime, too, because you can now go to swapmywhip.com. swapmywhip.com, WHIP, swapmywhip.com, and find like-minded car owners who have always wanted another car. May find one on the website and make your own deal with whoever you want to swap with. No dealerships, no used car salesmen, no middlemen. SwapMyWhip.com might give you the perfect deal you've been looking for. How do you know until you try it? And it's not just cars. Boats, trucks, jet skis, ATVs, I mean, all kinds of stuff, whatever you're looking for. SwapMyWhip.com. And don't forget, when you use the coupon code KIMMER, KIMMER, you'll get 180 days of free premium listings on SwapMyWhip.com. This may be perfect. Check it out, SwapMyWhip.com. One of our favorite Kimmer Show sponsors. I hold everything. Some tips.
Just a tip, please.
So just a tip, girls.
Just a tip.
Okay. Insider tips. For example,
Cider what?
when you shop at Walmart, you'll sometimes hear an announcement saying something like, security cameras to zone 6, or another number. You'll hear them announced on the store. Walmart will play those announcements at random times, hoping that somebody who might be stealing will think they just got caught and are being watched, and so they put it back and don't steal it after all.
Every time I go in Kroger now, they say, it's 6 o'clock, time for your top of the hour conditioning. What does that mean? Every time I go in Kroger, it's so o'clock, it's time for your top of the hour conditioning.
The hell does that mean?
I don't know. What kind of code is that?
Top of the hour.
Conditioning. Like you get training or something. I don't know. It's really weird.
Well, we should. Can you Google? I wonder if anybody's ever explained it. I check a little Google action. Another insider tip. I didn't. This is pretty cool. If you call a call center, if you call one of those automatic call center places, and the person on the other end of the line puts you on hold, but you do not hear any hold music, they can hear everything you're saying in the room. The person says, I worked for an insurance call center when I was young. I had so many people accidentally confess to insurance fraud because they were talking to their friends on the phone, and they found out they could hear them saying, "Oh, I hope you don't buy this excuse."
So every time they do that conditioning, it means the employees are supposed to go and look through the aisles and make sure that there's stuff on the front of the shelves.
Really?
So
That's what conditioning means?
Yeah, I just Googled it, and that's
I'll
what a
be
little
damned.
search chat. So they want to make sure that the aisles look presentable,
Oh, cool. Well, that makes sense.
that the stock is up
Excellent.
front. Why they would say conditioning, I would
I
say
don't
time
get it.
for a restock check.
Another mystery solved.
I don't know. Here's one. I am a veterinary nurse at an emergency hospital, and we give 100%. We give your pets cute nicknames and kiss them and let them sleep in our laps when it's not busy, and we always pick our favorites when you take your pet into the vet, which is good to know that they play with them and love them and give them names.
Well, they have names.
Well, they have names, but not according to these people. I have a new name.
That's the place when you get your dog back, you won't answer to his name.
Here's one. At any fast food drive-through, the speaker box hears everything from when you pull up until after you drive away. If you talk crap about us, we hear it. If you're arguing with your other passengers or on the phone, we hear that too.
I'm always careful in that line.
And here's one I hadn't thought about. Quote, wash the tops of your canned goods before opening them. For the love of God.
Especially Coca-Cola cans.
Think
or something.
about it.
I always wash the top of the cans.
I never think about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
Never think
grind
about
that
it.
gets down in there and you're putting it up to your lip. I mean, come on.
Well, even soup, I do a lot of those big, hearty, chunky Campbell soup things where I add a half a chicken into them or something.
Yeah.
And those are kind of just the pull-off, the little pop top, what do you call them?
Just pop top.
Pop top things. And I never wash
Yeah,
the
you don't have
tops
to
of
wash
those
that
off.
one, I don't think.
But anyway, I hadn't thought about that, and that's a very good point. Wash the tops of your canned goods. Anyway, just for the record.
And always wash your vegetables. especially great.
NFL Matchup. That's the name of the show, Sunday mornings at 6:30. NFL Matchup. And it used to be the three white guys, and now they had to get rid of one of them. So it's this black guy I've never heard of who talks like OJ. I mean, it's just not. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Fine. I'm not. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's just. You're doing this for the wrong freaking reasons. Let's see. I got enough of that thing. I saw that thing. Okay, a couple of quick birthdays. Jeremy Irons, 74. Good actor.
Great actor.
Very good actor. I think I've liked everything he's done. He was I can't remember, one of my favorite roles of his was one where he played the guy who murdered Sonny Bulow.
Oh yeah. Klaus von Bülow.
Yeah, but what the hell's the name of the? I remember, but he was great in that. Jeremy Irons, 74. Trisha Yearwood, 58 today. Still married, I guess, to a guy Garth Brooks. Jimmy Fallon, kind of a disappointment to me, actually, 48. David McCallum, remember Man from Uncle?
Oh, he always got his ass kicked.
Yeah,
he was the
little
Russian.
Skinny little blonde Russian.
Always got his ass kicked. Yeah.
David McCallum is 89.
That's amazing.
Man from the original Man
and
from
he was
Uncle.
Ducky on NCIS.
I remember him, yeah.
I never watched NCIS.
I didn't either, but I knew he was on there.
Yeah, he was the autopsy guy.
Oh, really? Bill Medley, Surviving Righteous Brother, 82 today. Twiggy, the model, is only 73. I thought she's been around for 70 years.
She was like 16 in the 60s, wasn't she?
Randolph Mantooth.
Yeah, Emergency.
From Emergency, played one of the guys. He's 77 years old. Probably the inspiration for the Will Ferrell movie Anchorman, where Vince Vaughn's name was Wes Mantooth.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm sure that's where they got it. Joan London, remember her, the former ABC morning show girl. Joan, and now she does commercials for Put Your Mama in a Home kind of deal.
How many moms does she have?
Yeah, I don't know. Joan London is 72. And Sherry O'Terry, I kind of had the hots for her. When Sherry O'Terry was on Saturday Night Live, she did a Barbara Walters impersonation, which was freaking hysterical.
Yeah, she was good.
I'll take that Hugh Downs and I'll roll him one up and down another in my bathtub. I'll swear to God.
That's why you should watch
Bobo Wawa.
Schitt's Creek.
I tape it every time it's on. I tape.
She had a character on there. Every once in a while, she would pop.
Oh,
on
I
there.
didn't. I haven't seen her yet. I've got 8 of them on. I've been taping them every
It's
time they're on.
funnier
I
than
tape
hell.
them because they're so funny. It really is a good show. And when it was on, I never saw it. I don't know why.
It was on Pop, and no one had.
Yeah, no one
Pop
had.
or
I didn't have it. I never had it. Sherry O'Terry is 60 years old now. Here's how Flounders Guy describes her. Here's what his. Again, I look up some.
Wait a minute. I don't think it's Sherry O'Terry. It's the other one that was on Saturday Night Live. That's on Schitt's Creek. I don't think it's Sherry O'Terry. There's 2 that were very similar to each other.
Oh, well, now I don't know now.
Sherry O'Terry did the cheerleader thing.
Yeah, she was a cheerleader with Will Ferrell. She and Will Ferrell were the cheerleaders.
Maybe she is the one.
Now, I don't remember her on Schitt's Creek, but I haven't seen them all. I've only, I've seen. Anyway, Sherry O'Terry is 60, SNL. Flounders Guy wrote this, quote, "She should have had the career Kristen Wiig is having, but as Tracy Morgan once said, that bitch can't even get arrested." He was not a fan of a lot of other people. Did not like Sherry O'Terry on Saturday Night Live. I guess she was kind of snotty, or
Well, speaking of Saturday Night Live, did you hear what their latest hire?
no.
Remember, art always follows reality. Reality always follows art.
Yeah.
Remember back in the 90s, It's Pat,
Yeah.
where you couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl?
Yeah. It's Pat. Yeah.
It's Pat. You couldn't do it. They've hired their first non-binary member of
Oh,
the cast.
God.
So you got to ask yourself, now, are they doing this so they can give themselves cover when they make fun of trans people? Or are they going to let this person...
I don't think they're going to make fun of trans people anymore.
Well, they can do it since they've got a trans person who can do it.
Oh, God.
Or are they going to let this person actually do other things? Because you notice they have the gay Asian guy on there, and he almost always plays a gay Asian guy.
Yeah. I haven't watched it in years.
And this is another reason not to watch it.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's
Rob
ridiculous.
Schneider says Saturday Night Live died for him when Hillary lost the election in 2016, and they came on with that other blonde chick who's very funny. I forget, McKinnon or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And she came on, and she's singing a song at a piano. She's singing Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. And she's singing it, and he keeps saying, "Oh, God, please let there be a joke. Please let there be," and there wasn't.
Oh, boy.
It was just her paying homage to
Yeah, that
poor
was
Hillary.
actually a really good interview of him. It was on Twitter. I saw it this weekend as well, and just talking about that and how cancel culture is just ruining comedy.
He's come out. He's done a lot of public things lately,
yeah.
where
Yeah.
he's come out and said, "No, wait a minute, we need to change a few things here." I've got a whole new round of respect for. I never really cared that much about his acting. I mean, I've always appreciated it, but I was never a big fan. But I'm a big fan of him as a person these days.
Dave, the Dave Meister, Dave Man.
Yeah.
That's when he was.
Copy it.
Davester,
Copier.
Dave Amundo. In 1960, on our history list, Chubby Checker hit the big time with The Twist. I remember the first time as a kid. I was a teenager. I was, 14 or whatever, 13. And I remember the first time I saw my parents at a party trying to do The Twist. When parents,
Let's see it. Let's see the twist.
round and round and round and. It's like doing the hula. Could you do the hula hoop? Did you ever try to do the hula
My
hoop?
sister was an expert at it.
Girls can do it.
Oh,
Guys,
yeah.
guys had trouble doing it.
Because they know how to move their hips better
Well,
than
it's-
guys
it's
do
just
as
swiveling.
kids.
Yeah. But again, I remember watching my parents at a cocktail party. I went, "Oh my God, get me out of here!" 1934, Bruno Hauptmann is arrested in New York City after a gold certificate from ransom money is linked back to him. He was convicted and executed 2 years later for kidnapping and murdering Charles Lindbergh's baby.
I still say he did it.
I think he did it.
I think he did it.
1952, Charlie Chaplin is told to stay on the ship as the ocean liner Queen Elizabeth in 1952 was bringing Charlie Chaplin, his wife, and 4 children back to America from England. But federal authorities would not allow Charlie Chaplin to leave the boat and come back to America until he was thoroughly investigated. So Chaplin and the family sailed back to England, later moved to Switzerland, where he died in 1977. They never let him back in the country.
Yeah, they did. He came out for the Oscars. Remember that big thing where all of a sudden they did the whole homage to him, and then the curtain opened, and there he was.
Oh, I'd forgotten that.
And
I
everybody
don't
went
remember that.
nuts. Yeah, they let him
I
back
don't
for the
remember
Oscars. Hoover hated him.
Yeah.
Because he was.
Oh, yeah.
He had communist sympathies.
Yeah.
So
1982, Professor Scott Fahlman at Carnegie Mellon University invents the smiley face, the sideways emoticon, a colon followed by a hyphen and then a parentheses, the sideways smiley face. 1881, President James Garfield, our 20th president, dies in New Jersey 2.5 months after he was shot in Washington. The assassin was Charles Guiteau. The new president was Chester Arthur.
an anarchist.
1777. After an initial setback, the ragtag Revolutionary Army beat the British in the Battle of Saratoga, a major turning point in the war. 1876, the carpet sweeper was invented by Melvin Bissell. The Bissell Carpet Company, still around, I guess. 1959, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev dined with Hollywood elites, including Bob Hope, Frank Sinatra, and Marilyn Monroe. But then he was told he could not go visit Disneyland because of security reasons and flew into a rage. I remember he was banging and pounding and screaming, and he was absolutely furious. He wanted to go to Disneyland. 1988, Olympic diver Greg Louganis slammed his head on the springboard at the Seoul Games. I remember watching this, and was doing a backward bouncy spring thing, banged his head on the platform, and neglected to tell the doctor who was tending to his bloody gash that he had AIDS at the time.
And he was bleeding in the pool.
Yeah, bleeding in the pool, bleeding with the doctor.
But even then, there were people concerned that he was bleeding in the pool.
Yeah, that's right. 2002, James Brown's daughter sued him in court, claiming that he had cheated them out of more than $1 million because of a feud. Deanna Brown and Dr. Jamma Brown, a Texas physician, his daughters, said they were denied royalties on 25 songs they co-wrote because James Brown held a grudge. His daughters had him committed to a psychiatric hospital in 1998 to end his addiction to painkillers. And he never forgave him for it. Cut him out of the money. 1981, Flounders Guy wrote this. Art Garfunkel decided to let Paul Simon join him on stage for a free Simon and Garfunkel reunion concert in Central Park. 500,000 people showed up and millions more watched on HBO. The Strange Tale of Graham Parsons, 1973. The country rock singer and songwriter who was with the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers. Graham Parsons was 26 when he died in Joshua Tree, California. First they said heart attack, later drugs. Two of his buddies, manager Phil Kaufman and former roadie named Michael Martin, kept a pledge they made to him. They stole his coffin, took it to Cap Rock in the California desert, and set it on fire as he wished. And they got arrested for it later on, too. Can you imagine? I mean, that's a buddy. That's a buddy who will burn you in steal your coffin and set it on fire in the desert. My God.
That was kind of the inspiration. Did you ever see the movie S.O.B.?
No.
It was a Blake Edwards, the guy who did the Pink Panther.
Oh, really?
And he
Yeah.
had all those old actors that he was in some of the Pink Panther movies.
Oh, no kidding.
And they played friends in
Victor
Malibu.
Blum or whatever they were.
Yeah, they played friends in Malibu with directors and actors and stuff like that. And one of them wanted to have a Viking funeral, which is put him on his boat and send him out into the bay and set on fire. Well, he dies, and the whole movie is them trying to arrange this, and it's really, really funny. And that was the
imagine?
movie that Julia, what was his face? She was Blake Edwards' wife, the singer.
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews bared her breasts.
Oh
It was
my
a
God, really?
Big stink. Yeah, she bared her breasts.
I remember now I remember, I didn't know that was that movie. I remember when she went topless. And
It was either that movie or the one with James Garner, and she played a man. Remember that?
Oh yeah, she played was it a singer?
Yeah, she was a singer.
Male singer,
But I think it was
cabaret singer?
S.O.B. that she bared her breasts.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
And one more thing here. 1985, Al Gore's wife Tipper led the charge at a U.S. Senate hearing to rate and label music with explicit lyrics. They had a list of objectionable songs called the Filthy 15, including Prince's Darling Nikki. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Darling Nikki? I've never heard of it. Here's the line from Darling Nikki. I looked up all the lyrics. Here's apparently the offensive lyric for Darling Nikki is, "She was a sex fiend. I met her in a hotel lobby,
masturbating
with a magazine."
Yeah.
Another one is Sheena Easton's Sugar Walls.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that? Sugar Walls, quote, "Blood races to your private spots. Temperatures rise inside my sugar walls."
You know who wrote that song?
No.
Prince.
Prince did? Let's see. Hold on. What's next? Sugar Wall. Twisted Sisters. We're not going to take it. And by the way, this one I don't get. Twisted Sisters was, Tipper Gore said it was on the Filthy 15. We're not going to take it. All the lyrics said, we're not going to take it. We've got the right to choose, and there ain't no way we'll lose it. We got no, and it was all just, we're not going to take it, we're not going to take it, we're not going to take it. The whole freaking song was not going to take it, but that one line, we have the right to choose, made him upset.
But the great thing was the video that starred Niedermeyer.
Oh, he's a sneaky little shit. Have Niedermeyer do it. They're on double secret probation. I love it. And one more, the song Cyndi Lauper's She Bop. Have you ever heard of that? I've never heard of that either.
Probably.
She Bop.
Yeah, it's about having an orgasm, I think.
Well, She Bop, here's the lyric. "Do I want to go out with a lion's roar? Yeah, I want to go south and get me some more. They say I better stop or I'll go blind. She bop, she bop." So anyway, I don't even know what that means. But by the way, the Senate heard testimony from Frank Zappa, John Denver, and so many others who opposed the censorship. And of course, later President Joe Pedophile saluting the chick with WAP. Jesus, as though he even knew what the hell that was all about.
By the way, check out these guys.
Oh, and who is this now?
That's Slipknot.
Oh my God!
Hey, you ever heard of Slipknot?
I've heard the name.
It's some hard rock, man.
Yeah?
And they're all wearing face painting like zombies.
Yeah. You think you'd like this music?
No, I can't imagine.
Well,
Slipknot.
then if I was you, I'd find some place to be Saturday night.
What?
They're at
Oh
the-
no!
Yes.
Not in my place. Oh God! Oh, it's gonna be a monster.
It's going to be a
nightmare.
complete, literal nightmare.
Oh, criminy! Saturday, no, I'll never get out of my
The
neighborhood.
24th. When is it?
Oh,
That's,
Jesus. Yeah,
next-
today's
this
the
Saturday.
19th. That's Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, goody.
And all the people playing on the bill with them all have death in the name.
Yeah, I live right next to the Encore Park or whatever. Ameris Tampa. Oh God.
I saw that this morning. I was
Oh
laughing.
crap! And they had one Sunday. I was at the horse show, and I actually went. I spent my whole day Sunday trying to get video of our horse fans for the horse show stuff, and so I did my second visit. I came back late in the afternoon, and they put the signs out, and here come the concert people. So I didn't leave my house after like 5 o'clock yesterday. I was afraid to go out.
Kimmer's War with his amphitheater, brought to you by FarmhousePrintingCo.com. Custom shirts and hats and signs, promotional items, no minimum order, no setup fees, 1 or 1,000, they'll do it for you. Now with laser engraving for your tumblers and leather goods and all kinds of stuff for all your Kimmer Show needs and Holy Crap It's Sports t-shirts, whatever. FarmhousePrintingCo.com right here. Eric and the boys and girls down there in Sonoya, Georgia.
And I have so many things to have printed up from my golf outing with my son-in-law, and Jennifer visits with the horses and all kinds of stuff with Wilson the doggy, look at my face and everything, and I'm going to have them all made up on T-shirts and hat and all kinds of stuff. So FarmhousePrintingCo.com, they take care of business for you.
Martha's Vineyard is getting revenge on Governor DeSantis. They are shipping him 50 Karens.
By the way, I mean, think about it. Martha's Vineyard knows how to deal with brown people. The lily white community, all these rich multimillionaires, shipped them out with a military. Less than 2 days after they showed up, they got rid of all of them. Oh, my God. Yeah. And again, if that had been a Republican enclave, if that had been a Trump city in Florida or in New Jersey, Bedminster.
They asked Miss Latrine, what's the difference between the federal government taking them and flying them all over the country as they
which
did?
They did for the entire year.
Yeah. And what's going on here?
Yeah. What did she have an answer for it? I didn't say that. Yeah. God, bunch of freaking. I hate these phonies. I hate them. I hate them. What they're trying to do to America, and they're just lying about it. They're calling him a kidnapper. Oh my God.
Trafficker.
Yeah. Joe Biden, Potato Head, the child molester in chief, is the biggest arms dealer in the history of the world. When you look at Afghanistan and it's given to Ukraine, I mean, my God, man.
The other funny thing is, do you remember Obama's birthday party celebration?
Yeah, absolutely.
Over 500 guests that stayed for the weekend.
Yeah, they have plenty of room then. We're all welcome. Yeah.
Isn't amazing? Zesto's closed.
Zesto's closed?
The one on Piedmont. Not all of them. Just
I was going to say, the one in Little 5 Points is still there?
Yeah, I hope, because that's the one
that's the one I'd always
go to. That new one they put out on Ponce several years ago, which was very nice, but it closed too. It was right next to McDonald's. The Chubby Decker is a good
might be wrong, but I think when I came here in 1972, Aubrey Morris, who was a news director at a radio station where I was working, took me out for my first bowl of grits. And I think it was would have been at Zesto's?
I don't know. But they closed the one. It was there for
that would have been Waffle House.
Could have been Waffle House, probably.
No, it wasn't. It was a cafe diner type place off of Peachtree Road. I can't remember. I thought it might not have been. Anyway, I remember that. Incident. My first
Zesto's is still in East Atlanta. Is that United Avenue? That's Little 5 Point. But they were there at Piedmont and Lindbergh. And then they moved down the hallway a little bit. 60 years they were there, and they closed yesterday.
Wow.
Because they sold it and everything.
I'll be darned.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
They got some good stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of the Queen's funeral and everything today, there's a woman down in Australia named Michelle Newman. Who got the last laugh at her funeral.
Yeah.
Because as everybody was outside, it was a beautiful day at the funeral and everything, they hear this plane circling overhead, and they look up, and trailing behind is a sign. And the sign says, "I'm watching you, cry harder."
See, that's how you have a funeral service. That's pretty cool.
And finally, speaking of the British thing, you know who J.R.R. Tolkien is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings and all that. Well, he had a party. He lived in Oxford. And he had a party for his son. It says, here's the invite. Typical British. This is 1945.
All right.
Professor and Mrs. Tolkien request the pleasure of your company on Wednesday, November 21st, 1945, to assist them in celebrating the coming of age of their son, Sub-Lieutenant C.J.R. Tolkien, RNVR, which I guess is Royal Navy something.
Royal Navy, yeah.
So it's going to start at 6:30 p.m. onwards. RSVP if not coming. There will be carriages available at midnight. ambulances at 2 a.m., wheelbarrows at 5 a.m., and hearses at daybreak.
I love it.
That's a hell
That's
of
what
an
it should
invite.
be. All right, boys. Fine. Have we got a little theater action here at all? Are we still
Oh,
doing
I guess
that?
we should come up with
It's
one.
been so long since we were all together in
I
this
almost
room.
forgot. Yeah.
It's been a week.
I think we are. I think the last one we did was Forrest Gump, wasn't it?
I don't know. Let me look and find it here. Was it a? All right, we
Possibly.
got the serving chips, garlic, spring. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's the
we got a
patient, doctor? Yeah.
Patient and a doctor. So which one are you going to be?
I'll be the patient.
All right.
Doctor, now that I've lost 3 fingers on my right hand, will I still be able to write with it?
Maybe, but I wouldn't count on it.
No, count on it. Thank you. Doctor, as the patient here says he's invisible. Doctor says, tell him I can't see him now. All right, boys. Any final thoughts?
That's
We
good to
made
be back.
another one. Welcome back, and God bless America.
Thanks for all the nice thoughts and prayers, by the way.
Well, people were very concerned about you, and we're hoping you're doing fine. So we're glad all back together. Boys, in the meantime, hoorah, Semper Fi, I got to go, you're killing me. And in the meantime, are we still doing the...